This is Chicago Hockey Radio with your hosts, Justin Lynch, Charlie Weber, Natalie Chibi, and Andrew Nolan. Welcome back, CHR enjoyers, for your Wednesday episode of Chicago Hockey Radio. We are back, baby. We are so back. So much topics to delve into today. We got a banger on our hand, an absolute CHR banger, absolute cinema show inbound. We got Chase Beardsley on the show today, Utah Mammoth writer for the Hockey Writer. We tried to have him on Monday. We weren't able to make that happen, but we got him back here today on this Wednesday edition of Chicago Hockey Radio. We're really excited for that and to hear from him. I think first, just the topic of the day, I think we can sort of let this bleed into the conversation, is Kirill the Thrill Kaprizov, man, the richest player in hockey.
Hey, Kirill,
ever.
let me hold the dollar.
Right. Dollar bill, y'all.
Dollar bill Kirill. Shout out Matt Dumba for that one.
Yeah, no, seriously. So, 8 years, $17 million deal, $136 million.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
unreal.
That's unreal.
One more dollar than his draft position, too, which is, he's a fifth rounder, drafted 135 overall, and he's getting the richest deal in NHL history.
That's absolutely unreal. Yeah.
Unreal.
How about that? That's what a flex. What an absolute flex that is. And here he is. Here is the man of the hour. We're starting off of NHL hour today. We're switching it up. We'll do Hawks hour later. Don't y'all worry. But here we go. We got him back on. Thank you so much for your patience, by the way, Chase, for working with us here. We're really happy to have you on today. How's your day going? You got us? Oh, okay. But before we do that, what are our thoughts on Kaprizov? We can delve into that more.
We got $17 million.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. I mean,
yeah, it is. A lot more money than I'll ever make, that's for sure.
Chase is on with you guys now, by the way.
Oh, Chase, welcome on. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
For sure. No, we're super excited to have you on the show today. And I think that's where we should start. What are your thoughts on the Kaprizov contract? Yeah.
Well, I think everyone's first thoughts is that's big. It's the biggest contract in NHL history. And I think the biggest thing is, obviously Kaprizov stays in Minnesota, which is massive for that franchise because this is the best player they've had in franchise history. They needed to keep someone like that. But I think the other big thing is that it resets the whole salary cap basically for the NHL. Mm-hmm. Now you're going to see players get paid bigger money than what we've seen in the past couple of months. So guys like Logan Cooley, who have held out, haven't signed an extension yet for next season, he's going to get paid more than probably what he would have a couple weeks ago, a couple months ago, whatever. And you're also going to see guys like Dylan Guenther, who got extended, last summer on a pretty cheap deal. You're going to see that contract, just go up in value because of how much he's making compared to someone like Kaprizov. So I think that's the biggest thing, honestly. It resets the whole NHL market. I think it's going to be interesting to see where everything plays out now. You have Connor McDavid, obviously, who needs to be signed by next summer. It's going to be interesting to see how much he makes. There's rumors out there that he might be making less because he wants to help the Oilers win in the short term. But we'll see. I think that it's a huge thing. It's massive.
No, for sure. And it's not the only massive deal that's been signed recently. Luke Hughes was extended to a 7x9 today. What are your initial thoughts on the Luke Hughes contract?
Yeah, that needed to get done for New Jersey. He's a big part of that blue line. I think, especially with the quotes from their GM coming out before the summer saying they're not going to worry about Luke Hughes' extension. They will get done. And then it gets done, a couple of days before the regular season starts. I think that's big for that franchise. I think it's big for Jack, his brother who plays on there. I think it's going to be interesting for his brother in Vancouver as well, who is due for an extension. I don't know if it's next summer or the following summer, but he's going to get paid pretty big money regarding that. And it'll be interesting to see, what happens because, of course, we all know Rockford came out, GM, or, basically the GM of Vancouver came out and said, Quinn wants to play with his brothers. So I think that throws a wrench into that whole plans, and we'll see what happens from there. That's pretty intriguing.
So you don't think there's any chance that Quinn could team up with his brothers over there? Yeah.
Man, I think it would be pretty stupid if Vancouver let Quinn walk. I think out of the three of them, in my opinion, I think he's the better of the three. He's a great defenseman, maybe one of the best defensemen Canucks have ever had, the best defenseman Canucks have had in recent memory. So I think it'll be tough. I don't think Vancouver wants Quinn to leave. I don't think New Jersey wants Jack and Luke to leave. Obviously, Luke getting the long-term extension here. So I think it's going to be pretty tough. I think what you will see eventually is all three playing on Team USA together. I think that's the closest
That'll
you'll
be a
see
ton
them.
of fun.
You know,
Yeah.
And then we got to round out the transactions of the day. You know, hitting home close to home in Utah there. Connor Ingram going to Edmonton. What were your thoughts on the trade earlier this morning?
For future considerations.
Yeah.
Yeah, 41% of that contract retained. So I think, this is more of a great move for Ingram himself. It's very respectable for, Ingram or for the Mammoth to trade him, because they could have kept him in the AHL. They could have kept him with Tucson and could have played out from there and eventually get assets back for that. But instead, they flip him right before regular season starts. He'll start with the Condors in Bakersfield in the AHL. I think that's just a respectable move by the Mammoth general manager and by the whole organization. I think it's going to be interesting to see how Ingram fits in with the Oilers, especially because he is coming off a year where he didn't play much, and games he did play, he didn't look too good. And of course, we all know what happened. All of our thoughts out to Ingram, obviously, but I think it's going to be interesting how he fits into that Oilers goaltending when he eventually regains his footing in the AHL, kind of, bounces back and starts putting up great numbers down there. Because Calvin Pickard, from what I've heard of, very popular teammate in that locker room. So I don't know if they'll sub him out. And Stuart Skinner, you're paying him big bucks. He's your starting goaltender. He's taking you to the finals, regardless of his stats or not, back-to-back years. So now they have a 3-man rotation going on. So I think it will be interesting to see, first off, how Ingram plays somewhere else in the AHL. This is his first NHL team since the Nashville Predators, back in 2021, 2022, around that. So it'll be interesting to see how he does under new systems, new goaltending coaches, all of that stuff. I really like this deal for Ingram himself, and I really like how this looks on the Mammoth organization, because I think it's just a respectful move by this team.
They gave him a new opportunity there for sure. Yeah. You seem to view this more as kind of an insurance policy for Edmonton. Like, think Ingram can kind of come in there and save their goaltending woes down the road. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it could very much happen. Obviously Skinner has been inconsistent at points times, and Pickard, he's a great backup. He's not a starter. Ingram has shown in the past that he is a starter. Obviously won the Masterton Award back in 2023, 2024. Had a phenomenal year in the final year of a Coyotes team that was starting to build towards competitiveness, but wasn't there yet. They didn't have, Dylan Gunther up there full-time yet until the very end. Josh Doan had just popped up. Logan Cooley, that was his rookie year. And you didn't have people like Mikhail Sergachev, John Marino, JJ Peterka on that line, on that roster yet. So I think, going from that and seeing what he did with that team and how he helped push them to, around a 500 record, wasn't quite there, but, had around a 500 record. I think that's pretty respectable. I think it's going to be interesting to see how the Oilers deploy him, and if he does do well with Bakersfield, when he'll come up. But he could be a clutch move for the Oilers, especially 40, or they're only making 60% of his contract. Mammoth retained the 41%. That could be a big and really sneaky move by the Oilers if it comes down to it.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely agree with that there. I wanted to ask, since you mentioned JJ Peterka, just kind of your thoughts on that trade that went down earlier this year.
I saw everyone, say, "Oh, it's a slam dunk fleecing by the Mammoth." I think a lot of people are underrating Josh Stone and Michael Kesselring, and I want to speak on them first. First off, they're amazing guys, very popular guys in the locker room. And Kesselring played a lot last year. When you had guys like Marino and Dursey out with injury, he stepped into the second pairing, at times the first pairing, when Sergachev was out for a game or two. And he played phenomenal. He had a couple of, good goals, an OT winner against Boston early in the year. I think a lot of people are underrating his departure. Of course, they bring in Nate Schmidt and that does kind of shore up some of the loss that you get from him. And of course, you're getting Simashev in. But I think he was a very popular guy. And same thing for Josh Stone, great bottom six player. He had a decent year last year, split between Tucson and Utah. And he was just another solid guy who was drafted by the Coyotes early in the rebuild. Was a homegrown talent. Obviously, his last name, paid off a lot of dividends for him because, a popular guy around the locker room, Shane was. But obviously, the big name here is JJ Peterka. He is a phenomenal player. He did have an unreal 5-on-5 shooting percentage last year, the best in the league, the best in league history, which is insane to think about. That's going to go down. But I think that's a great acquisition for Utah. I mean, first off, he looked great. I think the one preseason game that he really popped off in when he was on the line with Barrett Hayden, and I believe it was either Cooley or Gunther. It was 1-2, but he was on a really good line. Could be a first line, honestly, in the future. And he had some great chances. It was against Vegas. I believe that was the fourth preseason game, and he just made phenomenal passes to get Gunther up close to the net. I think that's something a lot of people are underrating him on because everyone thinks of him as a goal scorer, which he is. He's going to provide a lot of goals for Utah, but he's also going to set up some unreal plays to someone like Dylan Gunther, who is known as a great goal scorer. I think having him on a top line with someone like him, someone like Cooley, even if they scrambled up and put him on a line like with Clayton Keller and Barrett Hayden or something like that, I think that could be phenomenal. They did pay him big money, 5 years. We'll see how he pans out. But I think as of right now, you like this trade for Utah more because that is probably the second to last piece they have for their top six. Obviously, the big one everyone's going to expect is Caleb Denwaier in a couple years being, either the 2 or 1 center for that team. But this is a big trade for the Mammoth. I think it could pay off dividends, but if, he struggles to fit in Utah, it could pan out for Buffalo too, because they do need a culture change and bringing in guys like Kesselring and Dome who have been around a really strong culture in Utah, are great locker room guys and are very, very hard workers. I think that could be, really, really underrated move for Buffalo. They got what they need and Utah got what they need. So in the end, we'll see what happens, but as of right now, I do really like the trade for Utah. Again, anything could happen, though.
Do you think this JJ Peterka move pushes them over the edge and gets them into the playoffs this season?
I think it's very possible. I think, that is one of the big questions this year as Peterka, the final piece of getting them to the playoffs. I don't want to jinx it because, again, the Central Division is arguably one of the toughest divisions in the league. You have Minnesota, you have Winnipeg, Dallas, Colorado, and you're going to have St. Louis in there as well. I mean, Nashville and Chicago, obviously they're still building. Sorry, guys. I know that's a tough spot.
We have no expectations.
We're used to it. Yeah.
I know that's a sore spot, but, I think if the Pacific Division is weak again and the Mammoth are able to, click everything together, great start to the season. Everyone's consistent. The bottom six has a bounce back year. Vemelka is able to repeat what he did last year. I think that does put him in the playoffs, but I don't think just one trade for JJ Peterka pushes them over. I think it's going to be a lot of things culminating, including Peterka popping off in Utah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you brought up Denwaier earlier. I'm just looking at this projected Utah top six here. It just looks like that 2C spot is just right there for. I mean, you got Gunther, Cooley, Peterka. Then I could see Keller, Denwaier, and Schmaltz. I mean, that could be a nasty top six down the line.
Yeah. He's a unreal player. Honestly, could be the steal of the draft. Obviously this year was a little bit of a weaker draft than last year when you had Celebrini, going first overall. A lot of people projected Denwaier to even go in the top 3, but he slips to 4 in Utah. And, they're going to take their time developing him. He's going to go back to the queue this year. He does have an injury to his wrist that he got surgery on. He'll be back, I believe, around November.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens from there. But he could really be an impactful player once again for the queue. But then, have a really quick turnaround to the NHL. I think one thing that is beneficial to him is that the Mammoth won't rush him. They have a lot of players. They have a lot of players coming up like Daniel Boot. They have a couple guys in Tucson as well that they could call up if injuries come to mind, like Taylor Yamamoto, Cameron Hebig, a lot of guys. They have a lot of depth. But I think in the future, Denway, like you said, that second line center spot is going to be ripe for the taking because Barrett Hayton, solid center. I don't think he's ever going to live up to where he was drafted, but I think he's more of a third line center than anything. And I think when Denway is ready and when the Mammoth are ready for Denway to step into an NHL role, that is going to be his for the taking. He's got the hands, he's got the speed, he's got the hard work. I mean, right off the bat, when we interviewed him early after he got drafted, said he wants to win. That's what he cares about.
Exactly what you want to hear.
That's that's what you want to hear, especially if you're Utah battling for a playoff spot. So I think he's going to be a really impactful player for Utah.
And what about your 1C, Logan Cooley, heading into a contract year? Obviously, a lot of it's going to be based on this season, but what do you kind of early projections of what that contract's going to look like?
See, like I said, the Kaprizov deal just reset everything.
Yes.
I think it's going to be very interesting what he makes. I really wonder if they get it done midway through the season. I think it's going to be a summer issue, honestly. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to I think Cooley wants to see how he performs, especially, having a career year last year in his sophomore season, no sophomore slump for him, 60 plus points, unbelievable. And adding someone like Peterka to potentially his line could really help him a lot. So we'll see. I think if he has a great year, obviously the Mammoth want him re-signed to an 8-year deal. I think he wants to stay there for the long term. I could see it going obviously past Gunther's, discount deal. I could see him being the highest paid player on the team up there with Sergachev. I could really see that happening. I think if he has a phenomenal year, I do believe that happens, but say he has a regression of a year, I would say something like the Gunther deal is going to be something they base it off of. Okay. Obviously, you're going to add like maybe $2 million, maybe because of inflation with the Kaprizov deal. And again, everything changes. Who knows? But I think, if he has a phenomenal year, he's going to go past $10 million. He might hit $12 million. Who knows? Especially, as the Mammoth get better, a lot of players are going to demand more money. I don't think that's going to be an exception of Cooley. And I really do think that could be a very interesting contract, out of all the RFAs next season to really keep an eye on.
Speaking of contracts, that Gunther contract's already aging pretty nicely there. How much tucks do you think he's putting up this year? Yeah.
Ooh, that's a tough one. I've seen projections of him even becoming the top goal scorer for the Mammoth. I don't think he's quite there yet. I think next season is when he breaks through to kind of be killer out for the top goal scoring. Because I do think Clayton Keller is still the best player on this team. Yeah, 90-point season, unbelievable season last year. I think he can break 100 this year. But Gunther, 60 plus points, just like Cooley. I think he can pass that. I mentioned in one of my latest articles that, I think Gunther could be the best goal scorer on this team. I think he will be that. I think next year, though, don't expect, unbelievable first in the league Alex Ovechkin, stat or anything, but expect, him to maybe break into the 30 goal plateau past that, and then maybe around 70 points. I think that is where most expectations should lie for Gunther. If he breaks 80, that would be phenomenal, though.
Yeah. Another contract year for another player on the Utah Mammoth is Nick Schmaltz. Blackhawks legend Nick Schmaltz. He's become one of the more underrated players in the league. What do you think about his next contract, whether it's with the Mammoth or in the open market?
I really do think that Schmaltz could be the guy on the move out of anyone on the Mammoth coming into next free agency. Of course, that's a year away. But last year was kind of disappointing for Nick Schmaltz. He went the first 2 months with 0 goals, all assists, which is fine, but 0 goals until I believe it was November 30th. He bounced back a little bit in the second half of the season, but it was a rough year, especially coming off of a 20-goal season. One of the best in his career with the Coyotes in the final year there in Arizona. But it's going to be interesting. I wonder if he demands more than what the Mammoth are willing to pay him. Like a lot of these guys on the team. He's really good friends with guys like Keller and, Hayden and stuff. He's very popular guy in that locker room. But I do wonder if he wants to leave, if he wants to have a fresh start. I really do wonder that. I think wherever he goes, it's not going to be an 8-year deal. I think it's going to be a 5-year deal. I could see something around similar to what he got paid when he signed the extension in Arizona a couple years back. I wonder if that's going to be kind of a factor in this. I'm going to say he sticks with the Mammoth, but I think it will be a short-term deal, maybe around 3 years. I could see him making, again, Kaprizov thing throws everything in the wrench. I would say maybe 6-7 mil. I think that's pretty okay for the Mammoth and for his deal. I think they might have to stretch a little bit to get him back, but I think it's a 60-40 chance right now that he comes back. But again, it all depends what happens this season. He could bounce back in a big way, but going off of what we have from last season, it was kind of disappointment, and he could be looking for a new who knows.
I wanted to ask your thoughts on the new practice facility that you guys received for the Mammoth this year. It looks beautiful on the pictures. I just wanted to, where does it compare to facilities around the league, and how does that, show the confidence in, keeping hockey in Utah and building a big culture?
Well, for reference, Nate Schmidt, who played in Florida last year, won the cup with them. They just got a new practice facility like a couple minutes from the beach. He said the Mammoth one is better, and that's kind of impressive. Coming from a practice facility that's literally on the beach, like that's crazy. But Ryan Smith, the owner of the Mammoth, has gone all out every single time to make sure the fans, the staff, the coaching, the players are all treated well. And this is no exception. It's one of the most beautiful practice facilities that I've ever seen. You have all the latest equipment and some stuff that you wouldn't even dream of. I mean, you have the hot tubs, the saunas that can fit the whole team in there, a pool, a red light massage table, which I don't even know what that does. Sounds fancy though, and all the players love it. You have a kitchen staff that is prepared to cook meals from all the way in Sweden to, random places in Canada. They're going to make whatever fits the players best. They have espresso machines, kombucha bars. They have a lot of cool stuff, and the actual ice itself is one of the best in the league. And I think something cool that with this practice facility that, not just for the players, but it's for the community as well. Right after all the players get off the ice, Ryan Smith expects there to be youth hockey and, free skates and all that for the community. And there's going to be a restaurant in there. There's going to be a retail store with Mammoth merch and also hockey merch in general. And they're planning to host away games there, watch parties and all this stuff, community events. I think that's massive for this new hockey community. They've obviously had the Grizzlies in the past, but this community has exploded in the past year with hockey. A lot of people fell in love with the Mammoth in year one, and now they're diehards in year two. I think having something like this, not just for the players, but for the community as well, I think it's massive. And, for the players itself, there's no more excuses. They don't have any, I don't want to say horrible facilities, but like they, kind of underperforming facilities like they had in Arizona. Kind of crazy. I think there's no more excuses. We'll see what happens from here on out, but I think this is a slam dunk move for not just the Mammoth organization, but for the players, the community as well.
It's great to see hockey in Utah really taking off there. I know you also do some work in Arizona. Do you think, there's a possibility in the future that we could see a team back, the Coyotes, make their return?
Oh, yeah, that's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think what they're doing is awesome. They have Andrea Doan right now as their head of finding a new ownership and a new group to kind of lead the charge on this, which is the way it should have been. The Doans should have been involved from day one since Shane retired, but they were kind of pushed out by the previous ownership group, and we all know what happened with the previous ownership group. I think it's great that the government is on the side of this whole, new team thing. I think that's massive for them because I know at times with Morello, that wasn't the case. I think the next step obviously is to find a good owner, and they need an owner that, is committed to Arizona, committed to not just NHL in Arizona, but the community there too. The hockey community there has never been stronger, even with the NHL gone. You have the Sun Devils and the NCAA, signing guys out of the AHL, which is insane.
Yeah.
You have a lot of youth clinics going down there, like Kachinas and the Junior Sun Devils. So the new owner needs to be committed to that as well. I think it will be a while before it comes back. I think, though, as of right now, as of what we're hearing, I think they're one of the better markets to hopefully land an NHL team, simply on the fact, one, Gary Bettman wants to go back there. He did say to us on the final day, the final NHL press conference there, that the league will be back there. So I think that's a great sign. I think, two, players want to be there. I think if you have the right facilities and the right stuff, players will come. You see what happens in Vegas. You see what happens in Utah. I think that's a great example of what's going on. And I think there's a great possibility. I think Atlanta right now is the front runner because they have everything set up. They have the arena being built. They have the ownership group. They have the NHL attention. They submitted basically an application for the expansion process to begin. But I do think Arizona is right behind them. I think because they've been public about the right stuff, including, finding an owner and having a whole board to help them do this, and a single board, unlike Houston, who has two groups kind of battling it out, and other markets that don't really have a board right now. I think that does provide them a bit of an edge over other expansion cities.
Yes, we hope to see that for sure.
One final question here. I wanted to mention, you just mentioned the Sun Devils. Obviously, their big opening weekend this weekend against Gavin McKenna. How excited are you to go watch that?
I really want to go. Tickets are big expensive, but it's Gavin McKenna. You got to go see it. Obviously that's probably the biggest name that is going to play hockey in Arizona in a while. I think, it's going to be massive, but I do think ASU, I think they're going to be a team to watch out for. They made a lot of good choices in the portal this past season. They got a lot of junior people. They got Beck, who comes from the AHL. He has AHL experience and automatically probably is one of the best players on the team. Colin Potter, who was drafted 32nd overall, last year by Calgary. I think he's going to have a good sophomore season, especially more talent surrounding him. So I do think that's going to be a fun game to watch out for. I think there's going to be a lot of star talent there. I think, you just got to keep your eyes on that game. I think that's going to be one of the biggest hockey games this weekend, obviously with the NHL still in preseason. I think that's going to be one that a lot of people, even if you're not an ASU fan or a Penn State fan, I think you're going to have to watch out for that game. Hopefully it's on the NHL Network. We've heard rumors.
Yeah,
hopefully.
They better get on that for sure, I think. We will all be watching that game very intently. Chase, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate having you on, and absolutely welcome back in the future, and best of luck of your season in Utah. Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate everything. Hopefully Chicago's season isn't, dreadful.
We're hoping for it. We're knocking on wood.
We're wishing upon a star there. Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Hope for the best, prepare for the worst.
Exactly. Love that quote.
All right.
Thank you so much, Chase.
Have a good one. Great rest of your day.
Thank you, guys. You too. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. That was Chase Beardsley, hockey writer for Utah Mammoth. Good to have him on. Nice discussion about the Utah Mammoth. That definitely seems to be a team that everybody's pretty excited for this year. I know one of the teams that Frank Saravalli is definitely highest on going into the season, a team that you could expect to rise for in the standings and definitely make an impression in the playoffs. So we'll definitely be monitoring them closely, especially being a Central Division rival of sorts. So I'm not sure much of a rival they are, but maybe in the future they will be. So
I think we have to get into another Central Division rival.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest news of the day, $136 million for Dollar Bill Kirill. That is unreal. It's still mind-boggling to me that he got $17 million a year.
Cash rules everything around me. Cream get the money. Dollar bill, y'all. Hopefully I won't
get 3 beat of all time.
Hopefully I won't get copyrighted by the Wu-Tang Clan there. But no, I mean, absolutely massive contract for Kaprizov. Although it must be said, one thing I gotta say, all this drama for the extra $1 million per year. I know that's $8 million in the long run over 8 years, but Could this drama have not been avoided?
I
definitely think it could have been.
Yeah, I mean, I did see something, an athletic article, I believe it was, and they were talking about, the agent is the one who's trying to get that money. Kirill just wants to be in Minnesota long term. And he said there was, nothing. This reporter said there was nothing that indicated he doesn't want to be in Minnesota long term. So he was kind of just leaving things to the agent, is how it was described in this article. So that extra $1 million was, it took a few weeks of the agent going through that. But I think Kirill was pretty hands off and just wanted to be signed and kind of get this all over with. Which
is interesting that he wants to stay in Minnesota, right?
It is interesting, but like another reporter had said, like, I think Minnesota is the only team that would be willing to pay Kirill this much.
$17 million.
If he wants to be in Florida, he's not going to get $17 million.
No.
If he wants to be in New York, he's not getting 17 mil.
Yeah, or Chicago. Fellas, the delusion is over.
Yeah.
It was fun while it lasted.
The hypothetical trade packages for the Hawks,
Although
those were fun.
But. The reports back in the 2024 draft that he really wanted to be in Chicago, those are all dead, man. It was fun while it lasted, right?
Yeah, it was. Why'd they have to give us hope? But you know what? Seeing that $17 million a year, I mean, they do say everything happens for a reason. Maybe we dodged a bullet on this one.
Yeah.
I know Kaprizov's a great player, but that's a lot of money for a winger.
That's 20% of the cap this year for their entire
that's
team.
Ridiculous. That's insane.
Tied up in one player.
Insane money.
I get he scored, what was it, 55 points?
Yeah, 56 and 41.
In 41 last year. Yeah. And, people were saying, oh my gosh, overpay,
Yeah. But again, I think
it's not when he's that important to
your
team.
No, he might win the Hart this year. I don't think it's that out of the realm of possibility that if he plays a full 82-game season, he's putting up 100 to 110 points.
The key there, though, is you say plays a full 82-game season, which
absolutely.
He hasn't really yet. I mean, he's really only
shown that. No.
He's really only had one season that has been impacted by injury. I guess the COVID season was shortened, so really 2 years. But the last 3 years, he's always dealt with injuries. So that's definitely one thing to monitor there. But yeah, when fully healthy, he's definitely a well over 100-plus point player and probably a top 10, top 5 player in the game. And
I would agree.
And you could argue there's nobody more important to his team than Kirill Kaprizov.
Yeah, I know I had the take about Kyle Connor. I kind of want to rework it a little bit, just a little bit.
No, okay.
They have a Connor Hellebuck on that team.
Yeah,
that's how I'd rework it. Yeah.
You are not putting Kyle Connor on the same level as Kirill Kaprizov.
I did, but I want to rework it a little bit.
Oh boy, here we go again.
No.
Add a caveat or two.
Yeah. So I really wanted to, go into my take with this.
Right.
If they lost Kyle Connor for the Winnipeg Jets, there's not really a U21, forward core, defensive core, just prospect core in general that would be able to, try and replicate the production that Kyle Connor has. Well, as Kirill Kaprizov, I mean, I'm looking down this list right here. You got guys like Danila Yurov, Liam Ogren, Zeev Buyam, David Juracek, who they gave up a first, second, third, and a fourth round pick for. You go down the list, guys like Riley Height, who was a very highly
touted prospect,
highly drafted prospect. Yes, Carson Lambo's 22, another guy who was a first round pick, I believe. I mean, you just keep going down this list, and there's a lot of guys on this list that can make an impact for the Wild in the next 2 to 3 years. I don't see that for the Winnipeg Jets, so that's how I wanted to explain my conversation.
Okay, fair enough. The Wild do have a decent prospect pool in the pipeline. No, so Kaprizov won't be alone in the future. It is on this team. There's some solid players here, but Kaprizov is the one you could say is that's a star. That's really the first star the Wild have had in their franchise's history. They haven't really had. They've never had a player like Kaprizov
since
before.
Maybe Marion Gaborik.
Like a guy who's going to be in the award conversation every year. He's going to be in the Hart Trophy conversation, the Art Ross conversation. They've never had a player like that.
Yeah, and then another prospect I wanted to give stick taps to is Adam Benek, Brantford Bulldog, 4 points in his first game for Brantford this year.
Wow, that's great for him.
Yeah. I did see that on Twitter. He had a great game.
No, he had an absolutely great game. I think he might be the Nick Lardis replacement up there or something like that. I don't know if he can replicate 70 goals, but I mean, he could damn sure try.
That's going to be
Only
tough.
Nolan can find a way to get Minnesota prospect talk into this Kaprizov discussion. That's what I love about you, man. That's what I love about you. But that is the question mark here for the Wild. I think they had to do this, right? I mean, better to, even if it's it's a steep price, don't get me wrong, this contract, but better that than losing Kaprizov. You have to there wasn't much they could do there, right? They had to kind of give him what he wants and what his agent wanted.
So I think with this contract, the question I want to pose to you guys is the cup window open now for Minnesota? I believe it is.
It's open for them to go all in. I don't think they can sit pat and be contenders. But yeah, the window is open. You have to have it open now if you're paying a guy $17 million a year, especially before some of these young guys need to get paid, like some of the guys you just mentioned. Even Marco Rossi in 2 years. If Zeev Buium has a great rookie year, who knows if they try to extend him early. So it really is all chips on the table for the Wild, it seems, in terms of, we need to...
pressure's on now.
We need to
the pressure is
be
on.
relevant as a contender for the next 2 to 3 years, or else,
tell us.
This looks like a complete bomb.
Yeah.
How many playoff series have the Minnesota Wild won so far in the Kirill Kaprizov era? Zero playoff series wins
since 2015.
Big old goose egg.
And over these next 8 years, really 9 years, that's going to have to change, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the last time they made it past the second round was the 2015.
When we beat them.
Yeah, when Chicago beat them.
Right.
And,
we beat them 3 straight years, from 13, 14, 15, when they had the rich contracts of Parise and Sutter on the team.
We walked those teams as well.
Wasn't even close. There was one series Patrick Kane outscored the entire Minnesota Wild team.
Was that 2015 maybe?
I think it was 14. I can't remember what year. Somebody could fact check me. But point is, this is a sign here. This is the Wild taking their shot, and they got to deliver now, especially Kaprizov. He's going to lead the way there.
Yeah, the old saying of shit or get out the pot.
Absolutely. By the way, did you all see what Bill Guerin had to say about the deal?
I think we have the clip. Don't we have the clip?
Yeah, we do have
the Bill Guerin clip. Yeah. It's hilarious.
A big chair. Fucking better be.
I mean, he's not wrong. I mean, $17 million, $136 million man.
You better be excited.
There's no complaining from Kaprizov allowed anymore. There's no, how do I put this, excuses anymore.
Yeah.
this is it. The ball is in your court here, right? You got to lead the way. So,
every single team dinner has to be on Kaprizov now, right?
Absolutely. I think, and also just Kaprizov's probably not only the favorite in the room, but he's probably the favorite player in the National Hockey League right now. Because other players like the Jack Eichels and the McDavids, he might not care about the money so much, but the Kempes, the Connors, right? The Natcheses, all those players who are going to be signing deals are looking at the Kaprizov deal and saying, thank you, Kirill. Thank you. Or at least their agents are. Yeah. Because the entire contract landscape across the league has just been completely revamped.
Everything just got, throw away whatever you knew about contracts for the NHL.
Want to pay a winger $20 million?
Sure. It's true. I don't know how this impacts Connor McDavid. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that. Do you think he can
McDavid.
Do you think he'll make 18 to 20 million, or do you think there's?
I think there's definitely the potential if he goes to the open market. But if he wants to win in Edmonton, I think he tries to take a little bit of a hometown discount in a sense where he only makes like $15 million.
Only 15, right?
Only 15.
Nothing.
But even though he has the potential to make $20 million, I mean, he is the best player in the league, bar none. You've got a guy who is going to put up 50 goals this year. Like he said it himself, he's looking for 50. So I think it does impact McDavid, but I think in the long run, I think McDavid takes a short-term deal with a little bit of a reduction in cash just in order to try and fill out that Edmonton team. But at the same time, who's at the helm in Edmonton?
Stan Bowman.
Stan Bowman. And this is, I mean, it's a recipe for disaster.
It really is. Yeah. It really is.
We've talked about this before.
Does this not just put more pressure on? Yeah.
And another contract I want to bring up was Jack Eichel. We were talking about Jack Eichel a couple weeks ago. There was an interesting point where he could have made like $11-12 million with Vegas. That number has to shoot up to like $14-15 million, right?
Yeah. I mean, it does for everybody. I think every contract probably jumps up by $1 million or $2 million now.
Yeah. I mean, what does this mean for Connor Bedard?
That's another one. That's I think that's a topic for probably that we could delve into more another time. But I mean, I mean, we could if we want to touch on it here. I mean, easily over 10 million, easily.
Yeah.
I mean, really, no matter what he does this year, even if he has another 60-point season, which God forbid, hopefully he doesn't. But I mean, his agent's smiling looking at that news, especially at the Blackhawks. Like it was kind of a similar situation as the Wild, where you're not really paying anyone else a ton of money at the moment, so the Bedsy camp can afford to ask for quite a bit more than 10 million.
Yeah, I mean, the Wild have done a good job with their contracts in the past. Guys like Joel Eriksson Ek being underpaid. The Marco Rossi deal I thought was pretty good. The Brock Faber contract.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Have the Wild always done a good job with their contracts in the past?
Well, I mean, in this current core, yes.
Yes, the current core.
But, history, 10 years ago.
Yeah. How'd that work out for them? I mean, how'd that work out for them?
Parise and Sutter?
Yeah, not too great.
Not too
How
great.
much Stanley Cups did they win with the Zach Parise and Ryan Suter
I think
contracts?
it's the same amount of Stanley Cups that we've won.
It's the same one. Who's we?
Us three on the couch.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whopping old 0.
We've achieved as much Stanley Cup success and playoff success as they did. So,
Yeah.
as they were owned by the Blackhawks in the 2010s, which hopefully we'll see a repeat of that. That would be pretty nice.
That would be unreal. Yeah.
To keep owning the Minnesota Wild, there, man. The copium is on full display right now. We're clearly not upset at all that Kaprizov didn't jump ship there, but no, overall, still, I think in the long run, it's still good news for Minnesota. This is the very least for the next 8 years, 9 years, going to keep them in the playoff race. The question is this a playoff contender, or is this a team that could contend for the Stanley Cup? And my opinion still hasn't really changed. I still don't look at this Minnesota Wild team and think this is a Stanley Cup team, although they should be. This really puts the onus. They should be a Cup team. I mean, this is the richest contract in the league, probably more than what McDavid's going to be making. Like, the pressure's on there.
Yeah, I think as Chase alluded to during our interview, I mean, the Central Division, that's an absolute bloodbath. You look at teams like Winnipeg, you look at teams like Dallas, you look at teams like Colorado. Yeah, I mean, those are the top three.
The Blues, hate to say it, but I mean, Utah is on the rise.
Utah is on the rise. I don't really know.
We're going to be on the rise.
Yeah.
The only team I really don't really know what's going on there is Nashville. Like, they're kind of just there. Like,
they're kind of just mediocre.
They're just taking up space. I don't know, but every other team I feel like has a pretty bright future. So it's a loaded bloodbath of division, the best division in hockey, and it's like, well, now Minnesota's got to find a way to be the top dog.
Yeah,
and that's going to be tough because I think those teams you just referenced, many of those at the top are deeper. They have more depth.
Absolutely,
the Minnesota team, I think down the line can get better, like with that prospect pool you mentioned. But I still look at this team and like, man, the drop off from like Kaprizov, Rossi, Boldy, Eriksson Ek to like the rest of the lineup, like it's pretty stark. It's a solid roster, but I still don't look at this and think that's a Cup team,
Yeah.
And with this contract, I get the cap is rising, but it's going to impact how much room you can have in the future, especially how much money you could give all these young players coming in like the Booyums, etc.
It definitely is going to handicap them at some point, and they're going to, if they do, continue to get better with these young guys coming up, and they, see themselves as an established contender, they're going to have to make a choice on who to pay in a few years for sure, and that's the problem with staying in contention is you get all these good guys and they need to get paid, and someone's got to walk. So I think it could reach that point for them, but I just don't see them being fully contenders yet in that top 6 to 8 teams expected to win it.
No, it's all just projections and stuff like that.
Missed opportunity there, Charlie.
6 to 8. I like that better. I'm not going to do it, buddy.
No, sorry. I was ready to pounce. So.
You guys did pounce on when Chris mentioned it. You had your fun.
I saw opportunity. I took it. Me, Frank, and Betsy were just up with the trends.
I just think that it's all based on projections right now. I mean, you don't really know that it's a sure product. You don't know if Z Booyam's going to be a guy who's going to be
in the Norris running.
Even in the Calder running. I mean, this Calder pool is
he could definitely give Demidov a run for his money.
I think there's definitely a defenseman associated with Minnesota that could be higher in the ranks, but
but not the Minnesota Wild. You're saying a different. I see what you did there. I see what you did there.
A Gopher boy, maybe.
A Weasley look-alike.
I like that very much. Yes. Question: does this create a domino effect? Like, are we going to see a good chunk of contract extensions get done here in the near future? Yeah.
I think if they were to happen, they're going to happen in the next week. Because I don't think you want to, go into the season and, you're still worried about contracts. I mean, when you're in season, you're worrying about your play on the ice. You're worried about how can I make my next contract better instead of trying to, make my next contract. I think it's a big reason as to why we never really see, mid-season extensions. It's because you want to focus on the ice. So if it happens in the next week, it happens, but then it's probably not going to happen until, like February. Even then, like some of these top players are going to be in Milan for the Olympics.
And this also continues a tradition of the top players in the game never hitting the open market. It never happens in the NHL, man. There's always that hopium that it might happen, and then it doesn't.
It never happens.
And is this a sign this could be the case for other top players in this class?
I mean, we got close with Marner last year, and then
literally to the last minute, and then it was a sign and trade. So
yeah. I mean, we're trying to think like what was the last big free agent marquee free agent?
It's been a long time, man. It's been a long time. Maybe JT?
Yeah, I'm thinking Tavares. Yeah.
That's the big one that comes to mind.
Yeah,
I would say that's probably the latest one. But you always kind of have those like second tier 2, tier 3 players, but the tier 1 Kaprizov players, they never do.
I mean, do you consider Jake Gensel a tier 1 player?
No, he's a tier 2.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, not quite in that first tier.
Yeah.
Kaprizov's a guy who, at his best, is could be the best player in the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
I think McDavid's in his own tier, but like Kaprizov is like, if you're looking at that like tier 1.5, like he's right up there.
Yeah.
He's right behind him. I mean, he doesn't have as good of a team around him, obviously, and he's still able to carry this team, to the playoffs.
Just look at last year.
His
right?
value is there, right behind McDavid.
Kaprizov only played half the season last year. If you look at where the Wild were in the standings when he was in the lineup versus when they're out of the lineup, they started the year last year as one of the hottest teams in the league. Then he went down for injury, and they struggled so bad to where they nearly missed the playoffs.
Yeah.
He comes back at the end of the year, and he very nearly, everybody was writing the Wild off in that series against Vegas. They did lose the series, but it was 6 games. Like, it was a close series, about as close as you can get.
A couple of overtime
Kaprizov
games
had
there,
9
too.
points in 6 games, I believe. Like, this is a guy who can put the team on his back, and he's going to be getting more support around him. Yeah, I think expectations for Minnesota, it's cup or bust.
Yeah,
It's
5
cup or
goals,
bust.
4 assists, 9 points in 6 games last year against Vegas.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like you were talking about, any other big extensions for these, elite high level players. I don't think anything in season would happen unless it's, a trade deadline signing.
Yeah.
If someone gets extended after they get traded, I think that's kind of the only scenario we would see another huge splash like this extension wise.
I could definitely see that, until the end of the season.
Yeah.
Is $17 million too much for a winger? He's not a center.
I mean, he's not a center.
He's not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Is that? I mean, that's kind of unprecedented, right?
Unless
Yeah.
you're the Minnesota Wild, it is.
Yeah,
I think Minnesota's the only team that can really, pull this off because Kaprizov is that valuable to that team.
They had to pay them that extra, stay here in Minnesota and be with this team, be our guy money. Because if he's gone, the whole plot for the Wild is lost. And like truly, like they would have no. If he walked is one thing. If he got traded, you could get good pieces back, but you're still. This is a superstar we're talking about.
Yes.
You're not gonna recoup that production on a trade.
I like that. Now he's not just a star; he's a superstar.
He is.
Yeah.
He is a superstar.
He's the face of the franchise.
How many?
He's a
how
top
many?
10 player in the league.
How many teams can you say where your winger is your most valuable player? It's not many. Maybe Tampa, Kucherov could be one.
Tampa Kucherov.
Was Patrick Kane the most valuable, or was Taves?
Kane was the best player in the team with the Hawks' his prime, but was he the most valuable player? I would argue it was Jonathan Taves. I would argue.
Yeah,
you can make the argument.
You could definitely make the
I would
argument
say
there.
from 2007 to 2015, like during the Cup years, maybe afterwards, I would say it was Kane. But I would say prime Cup years, I would argue it was Taves. And with the Wild, it's not really close. Again, like I said, the gap between Kaprizov and number 2 on the team, who would even consider the number 2?
Joel Eriksson Ek.
Marco Rossi, Eriksson Ek, well, probably Boldy, you could say.
Yeah, Boldy. But
Maybe
again,
one of the
another winger.
defensemen.
Another winger.
Yeah. So Minnesota's sort of an anomaly from that standpoint. They don't have really a true 1C. Rossi's great, but like I consider more of a 2C.
Yeah, I would agree with
He could
that.
become a 1C. I think that's sort of the expectation by signing him to that bridge deal, that short-term bridge deal. Like, and now it's like, I think that's a guy too who's looking at this as kind of rubbing his hands together. Like, what can he do over these next few years with prime Kaprizov? Like, his numbers could skyrocket through the roof as being the 1C of him.
I do think Joel Eriksson Ek is a little bit underrated. I do see that, like,
Good
obviously
two-way guy.
Yeah, great two-way guy. He
Okay.
won't put as much on the stat sheet, but like when it comes to the playoffs, like
Good to know guy, like a Philip Deneau comp.
yeah, kind of like a Philip Deneau.
Yeah.
I would 100%
Yeah.
agree with that.
Yeah.
And Philip Deneau has done very good in his role in Los Angeles, and I see the same exact thing with Joel Eriksson Ek in Minnesota.
I feel like he's a guy who should be like who's I don't know if he's really been like in the top tier of like the Selke conversation, but I feel like he should be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like he should be right up there. Yeah.
And I think now with Kaprizov getting the money that he is, maybe there's more attention on him.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Who would you say it's Eriksson Ek or like between those two, who would you rather have as your 1C with Kaprizov?
Joel Eriksson Ek.
Joel Eriksson Ek?
Yeah,
more complete game.
Yeah, more complete game.
Yeah.
Obviously, we haven't seen Rossi's full potential yet, but we've seen
60
what we've
points
seen
last
from.
year.
Yeah, but we've seen what we've seen from Joel Eriksson Ek, and I think he's one of the most underrated players in
Or
the game.
proven. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Fair
I'm
enough.
with you. That would be a more complete line, I guess. You'd have your scoring, you have your two-way center. So I don't hate that at all. And then it gives Marco Rossi kind of a chance to not be that top line guy and still add a little more to his game on the second line.
Boldy's another guy I'm excited to see continue to develop here. I think it's just worth kind of delving into the Wild here a little bit. I think this definitely, they're definitely going to be a team to watch this year for sure, more so than most years. I think Kaprizov too. Like Minnesota's a team nobody really cared that much about before he arrived. No offense, like sort of like I don't want to call them like irrelevant or like or mediocre, but just never really a team that was in the conversations much. And that's totally changed ever since the
I would say
arrival of
it's
Kirill the
irrelevant.
Thrill. right? They're definitely a team that people monitor more. And Matt Boldy's a guy. I'm just excited to see what he can do. The flanks of Kaprizov and Boldy, what those two were doing, the connection they had in the playoffs was something else. That very nearly got them to the second round. I'm just excited to see what he can do in that top line with him.
So now my final question on this discussion.
Sure.
Does Minnesota challenge one of those top three for the top three spots in the Central?
Okay, so
Dallas,
I'm assuming
Colorado,
the top
Winnipeg.
three. Yeah, you did it for me. I think it's Dallas's spot to lose at number one. Tough loss of Jamie Benn, but that team has so much depth. Like, I think they got the number one spot on lock. I could see Colorado taking a slight step back this year. I just think first full year without Mikko Rantanen, the nature situation there. We could talk about this more later, but the nature situation there could be a repeat of the Rantanen situation from last year.
I 100% agree.
That team has so much top end, but just not enough depth. So I could see Colorado maybe slightly declining. Another team, I could see the Jets slightly declining this year. Like, I felt like they overperformed a little bit last year. It's a good team,
especially
it's a
because they don't have Ehlers anymore.
No, yeah, I mean Ehlers, yeah. I mean,
that's a big loss.
That's a big loss.
We should have just lost.
It is.
I don't think we should shy away from that because you're losing a top six winger and you're replacing him with 37-year-old Jonathan Toews. Not to say that 37-year-old Jonathan Toews won't do anything, but it's just like, there's a level of production that Ehlers was bringing, and I don't think Jonathan Toews can replicate that production.
That's fair. I think it comes back to this conversation of the tiers, though. Like, I think Ehlers is one of those guys, like, even go back to free agency. Those are the type of players that hit free agency. Like, those really good tier 2 type players, but I wouldn't call them a tier, like, 1.5, like a Kyle Connor, like somebody like that, or a Mark Scheifele. He's a tier below those guys. Like, yes, losing Ehlers hurts, but I don't think the whole Winnipeg Jets structure just collapses without Ehlers.
I think it does regress a little bit.
It regresses. Like, I think they'll win a few less games, less points. They're not going to be a President's Trophy team this year.
No.
But they're still a playoff team. Like, I think the identity of that team is still virtually the same.
I mean, they still have the best goalie in the league. They still have a number one defenseman in Josh Morrissey. They still have, good forwards in Connor and Scheifele. So I don't think that's changing at all. But when you look at it, I think they may slip a little bit.
You could see it. Toews is a fascinating one. We'll talk about him more, but potential injury there, which is hopefully it won't be too serious for him. He won't miss too much time. But because I think we all want to see a healthy Jonathan Toews suit up for the Winnipeg Jets. But I guess that's a long drink of water to answer your question there. I would still pencil Minnesota as number 4. Like, I'm not sure if they quite break into that top 3. I think they're really close. Like, I don't think the gap between those 3 and Minnesota is as large as it once was. Maybe to Dallas. I feel like Dallas has got the number 1 spot lock, like I said. Then Colorado and who was the other team that's in there? Yeah, Colorado
Dallas.
and Colorado
Winnipeg.
and Winnipeg. Sorry,
yes.
Yeah. There's so much good teams in the Central. My mind is racing around trying to keep up with them all. But I would say Minnesota 4. Yeah.
So I guess that brings us to the second biggest extension of the day, Luke Hughes.
Ooh. The third best Hughes brother is now the richest Hughes brother. What do we think about this, fellas?
I think
7x9.
I think that's going to be the new norm now. I mean, you're getting a guy who's only produced at a 50-point pace. Obviously, you're banking on the potential here, but a 50-point guy making $9 million a year.
$9 million?
Making more than his brother Quinn, who's a Norris winner.
$9 million. We're familiar with $9 million defensive contracts in Chicago, aren't we? $500,000 less than Seth Jones.
He who shall not be named. It should be he who shall not be named.
I mean, look, Luke Hughes, young player, still hasn't really fully broken out yet, right? This is going to be his third full season. $9 million. Nine
is
more than Quinn. I know the market's changing. I know the cap is rising. He's making more money than Quinn Hughes, one of the best defensemen in the game.
Yeah, so I think this impacts a lot of what New Jersey is trying to do. I think it impacts another big defenseman in their system, Simon Nemec.
Yeah, what does that mean with him?
I mean, he was the second overall pick for a reason. You're not going to just draft him just based on need. Obviously, he's got the talent to be a number 2 overall defenseman. I just don't know what this means for him. In terms of what he might get for a next deal, because as we were talking about it with Vinny Parise last week, he's shown flashes that he could be that number 1 right-handed defenseman.
Yeah, flashes, but do they see him in their future cards there?
I would hope so. I mean, you're not going to draft him again at number 2. I mean, we can talk about another number 2 overall pick who's a right-handed defenseman who's got a lot of question marks later, but I mean, Simon Nemec was drafted at number 2 for a reason.
Oh, it's a fair point, right? But Luke Hughes, this is kind of a contract too, where he's expected to be the number 1 defenseman now, right?
Yeah.
You could argue it's still Dougie Hamilton in the moment. There's some question marks about his future there too.
And his health, yeah. I mean, his health has been a big reason for his decline, I guess.
But they're clearly expecting a big breakout season from Luke Hughes there. I mean, if New Jersey's going to take that another step forward and really assert themselves as not just a playoff team but a contender, he's going to be a big part there.
Yeah. And I guess this brings up another question. I hate to bring it back to the Blackhawks, but what does this mean for Sam Renzel?
Well, I
mean, if Sam Renzel puts up 50 points in the next 2 years, does that mean he's getting another $9 million?
This has just totally changed the landscape of defensive contracts.
So. No, 100%.
Sorry, Charlie.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say like that's kind of a ridiculous comparison, but you're not wrong at all. It's not a ridiculous comparison
really,
because
if
Renzel continues to show what he showed last year and is a top 5 Calder guy potentially, if he's in that echelon of players for this season, then who knows what he could get paid. It could be in that Luke Hughes range.
Yeah,
which kind of scares me as a Hawks fan.
Well, you know what? The good news is we're only paying Alex Vlasic 4.6. Just think about that for a second. Luke Hughes is making almost double the amount of money as Alex Vlasic. And you know what? I'm just going to say something crazy. He's better than Alex Vlasic, but he's not that much better than Alex Vlasic.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Am I being a homer there? Is that a crazy
take? The offense is 100% better from Luke, but like defensively, even they're not that different.
I think
Alex is a better defender.
I think Alex Vlasic is a better defender than Luke Hughes. But look at the stats. Luke Hughes, 7 goals, 37 assists, 44 points in 71 games last year. I believe Vlasic had 30 points last year in 78 games. I believe that is correct. Let me fact check that right now.
That would have been a 50-point pace for Luke Hughes.
So he only had 14 less points offensively speaking, and his defense, I think, is better.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, 4 goals, 26 assists, 30 points in 82 games for Vlasic last year.
And I mean, is it that crazy to throw out this take that Vlasic is closer to being on the Olympic team than Luke Hughes?
I don't know about that one.
No,
well, you know what? Because I think they may look at it and think, well, we have a better version of Luke Hughes. Quinn Hughes.
Right. Yeah. We already have our offensive defenseman.
If they're not going to invite Lane Hudson to the Team USA Olympic orientation camp, I'm not sure. Luke Hughes is going to make the team over him. So I don't know. Yeah. That's sort of a question mark.
Yeah, you can't build a D-core just of offensive defenseman.
Yeah, you need a guy there
that's just, you need a guy like a Jacob Slavin.
Right.
Those defenders. Like Luke Hughes' offense cannot be questioned. I think he's going to be one of the top producers in the league. One of the top offensive defensemen in the league in his prime.
That's another guy you can think of for his contract because his contract's going to be up at the end of the year. Lane Hudson.
Yeah, what is Lane Hudson's deal going to look like? He put up 66 points last year.
Yeah.
That was without a full season of Ivan Demidov and co. I mean, what's he going to do this year?
He could easily put up 70.
Yeah. How many more players in the league you think could be more motivated than Lane Hudson this year? I mean, if I'm him, I am so pissed off that I was left off the roster for Team USA. I know it's just an Olympic orientation camp, but that would just fire me the hell up, man.
No, absolutely.
I don't think there's going to be many players in the league that have more of a chip on their shoulder this year than Lane Hudson. I mean, what if he has a point per game season this year? Is that crazy to say?
No,
he was close to a point per game last year.
I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility.
What if he puts up 70, 80 points? Is in the Norris conversation. What does his deal look like?
I mean, is he going to go over 10?
I was going to say he's going to make more than Luke Hughes.
I mean, he should be making more than
Seth. That season. he's making more than him if he does that.
Yeah, I mean, he's already a better defenseman than Luke Hughes right now. Yeah. So he should at least be making that much. He should be probably making well over 10.
I think just the pure fact that Hudson put up 66 points last year. I do want to bring up the point that like Montreal has made this like internal cap, so that might change the contract a little bit. But I mean, you just see what Luke Hughes just got. Lane Hudson's better than Luke Hughes.
Yeah.
I mean, you're if it was like if they didn't have this quote unquote internal cap that Ken Hughes has been doing, you look at guys like Caulfield who looks like he could be a steal. 40-goal scorer. Nick Suzuki getting under $8 million, and last year he was nearly a point per game player. Like, I hate to, glaze the Habs, but I will glaze the Habs a little bit just because,
gotta give them their flowers occasionally.
Yeah, exactly. Ken Hughes, I mean, he's done a very good job with his contract. Yes. So now, you bring into this question, what does this mean for Lane Hudson? And I seriously don't know.
I don't know either. What does this mean for Quinn Hughes? Yeah. What does this mean? I mean, because now we got both Jack and Luke, extended there, locked up in Jersey. Is Quinn going to be joining them soon?
If they want to sign Simon Nemec long term, there's no room for Quinn Hughes there.
No.
So that's going to be what it comes.
That's kind of what I'm saying.
That's going to be what it comes down to, right, Nolan? How he performs and whether they want to, keep him long term.
Yes.
And that's why I say, I just don't know if it's Simon Nemec's long-term future is in Jersey, just because you think they're not taking a good look at Quinn over there and, doing everything they can to try to get him over here. No, why not?
Yeah, why not? I mean,
that's what everybody's saying. Everybody's saying it for a reason. They're not just spitballing. Everybody's talking about it.
They've said it themselves. You know, why would I not want to go play with my brothers?
So it's not just it's real smoke. So when there's smoke, there's fire, right?
Yeah.
I guess there's also a question. Yeah, like this definitely raises the bar. You know, we talked about raising the bar in Minnesota. Kaprizov raises the bar with the Devils this year as well.
Yeah.
I mean, they're expected to be a contender this year.
It all depends upon the health of Jack Hughes. I mean, that was their big thing last year when Jack Hughes went down. I mean, it was just like they had no hope in that series against Carolina.
That's the thing. Luke's not just making more than Quinn. He's making more than Jack. He's making $1 million more than Jack.
Yeah.
Who nearly had a 100-point season a couple years back.
Exactly.
That's crazy. That's insane.
That's unbelievable.
It just tells you how much the whole marketplace is changing. Even
I hate to bring it back to Lane Hudson, but do you think he makes more or less than what Noah Dobson's getting right now? Noah Dobson is also getting $9.5 million.
Noah Dobson making 9.5.
Yes.
So he got the Seth Jones treatment. More. I think Hudson makes at least 10. I mean, it's a weird, probably not the best comp, but yeah, I think both he and Bedsy at least 10. At least. Probably well over that, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, just the way it's going.
The way it's going, yeah.
Charlie?
Yeah, I mean, if everything is, consistent with how he was last year and he takes another step, he doesn't even need to take that big of a step to have that contract by the end of the year. I think he could definitely,
if he just maintains what he did last year.
Yeah. If there's no, concerns or drop-offs or, injury could be a thing, that prevents him from securing that 10 million. But I think, more than Dobson.
More than Dobson.
At this point, for sure.
Yeah, I think just the way it's trending, that's what I would say. Yeah. I mean, I think I guess it depends on Montreal. I mean, a lot of it depends on how he performs relative to Dobson this year as well. But I still think even bringing Dobson in, they would still consider Hudson to be the number one. So even if we're doing an internal cap situation, I think he makes more.
Okay, all right.
That's what I would think.
I think I would agree with that. I think, just for the pure fact that if he puts up 70 points this year, he's in the Norris debate. I mean, he's top 5 in the Norris. Like, why wouldn't you pay him $10 million?
No, why wouldn't you? I would say why not.
Especially with an expiring contract like Patty Laine, getting rid of his $8.7 million. You don't know what's going to happen with him.
Mm-hmm.
That opens up a lot of cap space. And with the cap rising, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities there. Another guy, Mike Matheson. Mike Matheson, that's $4.88 million that are gone.
Right.
I mean, that can go towards the Lane Hudson fund.
Yeah, I think Montreal fans are very much looking forward to not having to watch Mike Matheson hockey anymore. I just every time I check Habs Twitter, they're always slandering Matheson. Like, there's another shot into the knee pads. They're out of the zone. He just looked off Hudson again. So, I don't think they're going to see him.
He's not getting back on defense
this year. Especially that's why they brought in Noah Dobson. It's a big part of why. It takes the pressure off. You're not going to see him in the special teams as much anymore. So his role there is kind of just going to be third pair guy, and if he has to step in occasionally in the power play, fine. But don't think you're going to see that much anymore. Bringing in Dobson and Hudson, like that should be a fun season over there. So definitely be monitoring that for sure. But yeah, we should speak a bit about JT Jonathan Toews. He did leave his latest preseason game with an injury early against Winnipeg. Jets coach Scott O'Neill did say that Toews tweaked something, will be evaluated when they get back to Winnipeg. I'm not sure if we got that update yet. If somebody could check that'd be nice. But hopefully for Toews, hopefully it's not serious. I don't want to see him miss any time. Worst case, hopefully it's just a precautionary thing like Alex Vlasic. If he has to miss the rest of the preseason, fine, who cares? Just make sure he's ready to go by the regular season. Hopefully he doesn't miss any time there, because I think we all want to see a healthy Jonathan Toews in his first full season back. I think that would feed families for sure. We all want to see that.
There is no update yet.
No
on
update.
Toews.
Okay, well, we'll get that update, I imagine, on the Friday show. So, hopefully nothing serious for Taser. We want to see the best out of him.
Absolutely.
Other NHL news, recently just in, 2006 number 1 overall pick Eric Johnson has retired from the NHL.
Oh, that wasn't the retirement. That just happened?
Just happened, within the last half an hour.
40 minutes ago, yeah.
Okay, Eric Johnson,
taking 2 spots before Johnny Toews.
That still shocks me. Look, Johnson, very solid career. I want to get that out of the way first.
Yeah, very relevant.
Very solid career. But yeah, you think the Blues regret taking him over Jonathan Toews in the 06 draft?
100%.
Yeah, solid. When he played at the Blues much, maybe most of his career with the Avalanche, where he won a cup with in 2022. Solid kind of second pair guy, first pair guy in his prime. Never really a Norris guy, but he could come for 30, 40 points. Good two-way play, good leader in the room. Always a well-liked guy. I can never really remember.
Hall of very good.
Hall of very good.
That's the category.
The Hall of very good. That's exactly where he's going. And never a guy you really hear anything negative about too. Like, seems like he's a guy in the room that everybody just kind of loves. So good leader. Always had those leadership roles. So no, definitely will be missing Eric Johnson. What's it? Is it Jack Johnson? He's still around, right? Is he? He's on a PTO right now. Is he on a PTO Minnesota? Am I mistaken there? Yeah, somebody could fact check me on that. But I always just, they came in the league around the same time. Both very high draft picks, both sort of similar defensemen. Jack Johnson, Blackhawks legend, but he has not retired yet. But I wonder if this could affect his. I guess it depends on if he makes the the Wild team or not. If he, I think right now it's a PTO situation, but no one is fact checking me there. But
I am fact checking. Yes, he is on a 1-year deal with the Minnesota Wild.
Yes,
like.
I knew I was onto something there.
Yep.
I knew I was onto something there.
Enough with the Johnson and Johnson talk, though.
Yeah, enough.
You had another player,
retirement.
Yeah,
Max Pacioretty.
There's the big one.
Patches, Montreal Canadiens legend, last played at the Maple Leafs last year. And the Uggs still had it, man. I think he easily could have still played another year. I think there was interest. I think he just felt, didn't have anything left to give. But dude, he was good for the Leafs in the last playoffs. He had like 8 points, 11 games. He was in that series against Florida, where a lot of the top end guys were kind of shut down. Patches was contributing. He was getting in.
I liked him with Montreal. I thought he had a good playoff series last year with Toronto. But here's my big thing, and I always look back at this as like Max Pacioretty's defining moment in my eyes. I believe it was the 2020 bubble series against the Blackhawks. There was an empty net goal scored by Alex DeBrincat, and Pacioretty takes the slash to him, It's the end of the game. You're already up 3-1 in the series. Why are you, going after DeBrincat? I mean, it made no sense, really.
That's the number one thing you remember.
That's the number one thing I remember. Yeah, it's just burned into my head.
That did kind of strike me. Like, I didn't think he was that dude to be doing all that at the end of the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you're already up 3-1 in the series. Like,
as a former captain, that did kind of shock me. I do remember what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, that is Max Pacioretty's legacy is a slash on Alex DeBrincat in a playoff bubble series. But
hey, to me as the Hawks guy, that's all I really see. So.
I get that, but no, I think if you look back at his kind of Canadians tenure there, captain for them. I always love when there's an American captain of a Canadian team. Look at Matthews and Toronto. This is always like hell.
Look at Brady Tkachuk.
Yeah, Brady Tkachuk too. Yeah, there's quite a few.
There's a lot. Yeah.
Love to see that, but consistent 30-goal guy, 60-point guy. Kind of another guy like in that Ehlers tier, just tier 2 guy. Never really like top end, but just solid. Borderline star player. I think another Hall of Very Good.
I would agree with that.
I think he's eligible for the Hall of Very Good. Pacioretty, right? I think he's eligible.
Do you guys know which prospect was traded in that Vegas to Montreal trade?
Was that the Suzuki?
That was Nick Suzuki.
That's right.
Yeah, I wonder how they feel about that. Yeah. Well, I mean, Vegas. That's kind of just how they how they roll. Like, they don't build their team in the drafted prospects, man. They just get established star, and they never rebuild.
Yeah.
They never rebuild.
They're ultra aggressive
they
every
just
year.
Throw money around. That's what they do.
Michigan Wolverine, Max Pacioretty.
Oh,
right?
Really? I believe
you're right.
Yeah.
Shout out Frank.
Yeah,
Frank the Tank.
The most well-known Michigan alumni.
Another guy who was, involved with a trade with the Montreal Canadiens.
That's right.
Right. Bang on the money there. Good stuff.
Uh-huh.
This is a story I think we should get into, too, as we sort of close out this NHL out here. Trevor Zegras. This is an interesting story from Greg Wyshynski here, where he kind of delved into the end of his tenure in Anaheim and what sort of went wrong there. That's the headline here. I'm quoting him now. Seasonal depression. Let's go with that. That's what Zegras said. I need winners every day. Felt the exact same for 5 years. It was weird. Seasonal depression. It's a real thing. I swear to God. You hate to hear something like that. Mental health. Obviously could be. Playing in the NHL, I can only imagine just sort of what these guys have to deal with. And obviously the Ducks didn't have the most on ice success the last few years. And for Zegras, a couple rough years dealing with injuries and missing a lot of time and just not really looking like himself. And I think the system there under Greg Cronin just didn't really suit his game. And it felt like sort of it wasn't able to display his full potential the past couple of years in Anaheim. So he's a guy I'm really excited to watch this year with Philly. I think just
him and Michkov,
the rejuvenation. They've looked really good. I saw they connected a few times the preseason, Michkov and Zegras, which talk about two players who absolutely should complement each other.
Yes,
the two Michigan boys. So I think we'll be seeing a lot of fun with them, and seems to have developed a good relationship with the coach Rick Tocchet as well.
Yeah,
I think he calls him Taco. I heard.
Yeah.
I don't know the full story there, but that's pretty interesting.
I do want to bring up two things on this article. One, I think another big thing for Zegras in Anaheim that he's now gaining in Philly again is his best friend Jamie Drysdale.
That too, right?
That's a big thing. We're always talking about vibes, but when your best friend gets traded, that sucks.
That's his Frank Nazar, right? That's his Will Smith, right? Yeah, the Zegras Drysdale connection.
And then another quote that I want to bring up here. It says Zegras said he's happy to be in the same division with Jack and Luke Hughes because means he's no longer in the same division as their brother. And he is quoted by saying, "I never want to play against Quinn Hughes ever again. He's the best hockey player of all time."
wait. Trevor Zegras just said Quinn Hughes is the best hockey player of all time?
That's quoted from the article, yeah.
In the article. I wonder from
Trevor Zegras.
I wonder what Tony meant there. Like, do you think he actually meant that?
I think he was.
He's probably. I mean, I think
they're very good friends.
He and Quinn knew each other from the U.S. development team. Like he might just be kind of gassing him out there. Don't get me wrong. Quinn Hughes is great, but let's pump the brakes a little bit on best player.
Is that like a Quinn owns me kind of thing?
Maybe that's an inside joke. I don't know.
Figure him out kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe we're overanalyzing that. We probably are, but that's high praise and Trevor Zegras. Two buddies there from the U.S. ranks. So kind of come up around the same time. Quinn in 18 and Zegras in 19. So, but
he is in 19 as well. Yeah.
Yeah, no, Quinn's
Jack
19.
Hughes.
Jack Hughes, right.
Yes, Jack Hughes in 2019.
I was thinking Quinn, but yeah, no, I think with Zegras, that would be a guy to monitor all season.
I'm very excited to watch him. I mean, I wanted him back in 2019.
I've always been a big Zegras.
I wanted him as the 3rd overall pick. I remember making a video on this like 4 years ago where, it's like the hypothetical if Trevor Zegras was a Blackhawk. Think about that. That would have been awesome. Him and Showtime.
Yeah, like Doc was. I don't even know if Doc was in my top 5 players I wanted. It was like Zegras. It was Caulfield. It was Bowen Byram.
Boldy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Doc may have been like 5th or 6th, if even.
Even Alex Turcotte was another guy in that top 5.
I was never moved by Turcotte. I know a lot of Hawks fans want him just because of his Chicago connections. I was never moved by him, and so far I've been proven right there.
Yeah.
I mean, but unfortunately, Doc, we'll see what happens with him in Montreal. That's another discussion there.
Yeah. Stay healthy. That's
Who knows with him? But yeah, again, I think just to close out the Zegras thing, I'm a big fan of his. I always have been. So I hope he can turn around.
Absolutely, 100%.
Sure.
I'm very excited to go watch him this year in Philly.
Should be a ton of fun to watch.
A chance for me to watch Philly. I feel like I haven't watched Philly in
really
years.
I had a reason to, but now there's some excitement there. With Michkov and him, there's a reason to watch Philadelphia Flyers games for a first time in a while.
Since like Giroux, really, in my eyes.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. We could clean up this Ingram situation with the Oilers. Touched on a little bit in the interview, but yeah, he was Connor Ingram was traded to Edmonton for future considerations. So future considerations once again on the move. He's been everywhere lately. He was Blackhawks legend.
Blackhawks legend. Yeah.
Maybe that's what. Maybe we can acquire future considerations for Lucas Reichel. We'll get into that later, but maybe that could be a future trade on the table.
Oh God, we're getting 1,000 yards there from now.
Hopefully we get something from Lucas, right?
Yeah, we'll get into that later. I'm sort of teeing up, but I'm giving a little foreshadowing here. Sprinkle a little foreshadowing for the Hawks hour. But yeah, I mean for Edmonton, as our guest kind of alluded to, it may be more of an insurance policy, but you like to think you make this trade, he's going to get an opportunity of Edmonton at some point. But going to let him get up to speed, obviously, before they bring him up. But obviously, a lot has to do with I think the ball is kind of in Skinner and Pickard's court. They won't really move. They won't come up if they don't have to. But I think it's good to have depth in that, especially because you never know of injuries and the like, and just the inconsistency up there. Like it's good to have options.
A third goalie with NHL experience is always something you want to have in your rotation.
It does seem more important these days, right? This isn't the first one. You look at Toronto bringing in Reimer behind Wall and Stolarz as they wait for Wall to return. Like it definitely seems like something that teams are you want to have good 3 solid goalies in the rotation. You want to have a good third stringer ready to go in case something happens if one of your
100%
your starter or backup. So that's sort of what this move is for Edmonton. I'm not sure if Connor Ingram is going to solve the goaltending woes there in Oilers land, or maybe Stan Bowman thinks that's going to happen, but I'm not really sure that that's in the cards there. But we shall see. Anyway, anything else to say about Ingram?
I think we kind of covered it. Pretty much hit the head on the nail. Yeah,
not too much other than I think he'll be ultra competitive and try to kind of carve out his playing time in Edmonton as they're figuring things out with the goalie situation. Obviously, Skinner he's led them to the Cup final, but what happens then? So
just hot and cold.
It'll be interesting to see how
great reference
the playing time shapes
Shout out Left Shark.
It will. All right. I think really lengthy NHL hour today, but there's just so much topics.
There was a lot of news
today where I thought it was worth starting it off today and just kind of getting right into it and sort of extending our NHL hour. All right. We will see you on the other side for Blackhawks hour. On the other side of the break, we will see you then. Plenty to get into in Blackhawks land today for sure as well.
Can't wait.
So look forward to that. Welcome back to the Blackhawks Hour of CHR, Wednesday midweek CHR action. We got a big Blackhawks Hour in queue today. Plenty of topics to delve into, discuss. Korchinski demotion to Rockford, incoming Lucas Reichel trade that feels like could happen at literally any moment.
It's very impending.
Maybe it'll happen during this show today. You never know.
You never know.
We also got a preseason hockey game to kind of delve into here. And yes, yours truly was in attendance last night.
You were there.
I was there. I was there, baby. Unfortunately, a 3-1 loss to the Detroit Red Wings. So that's not
Detroit
ideal.
still sucks.
I wouldn't say that was the best played Blackhawks preseason game. And both the Hawks' loss of the preseason have come to the Detroit Red Wings. I guess Detroit does not suck, ladies and gentlemen. It appears that Detroit does not suck. Man, what do we think about that? And what would you guys think about the game?
I didn't really tune into the game that much. I was able to watch the second half of the game, but from what I heard from the first half of the game, I mean, they just looked terrible, didn't they? First half of the game.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they were terrible. Like, they were just okay. And they do say sometimes just okay is not okay.
Yeah.
But I think in the preseason it is okay. I wouldn't say it was their best play game. There were a few negatives, I would say. The power play was the main one. They went 0 for 6.
Yeah, that
they
can't
went
happen.
0 for 6 on the paper. I mean, we didn't. I was looking forward to seeing a Rinzel Bedard or Bedard Nazar connection. We just never saw it. They had looks, but just weren't able to put the puck in the back of the net and get shut out by, or not shut out. We did get one goal in the game from Colton Dock, the best Stock brother, late in the third period.
That was
beautiful
an individual,
beautiful goal. Where did that speed come from Colton Dock?
He impressed me there. I
really
didn't think
impressed me
that's
like
the
the
kind
last
of didn't think that's the kind of play he's going to make. At this level, I thought he's more of a physical guy, but
more of a grinder.
To see him do it all himself there was really encouraging.
More of a meat and bones guy, but he's got some skill too. He's got some talent, and if there was any question, Colton Dock is on this Blackhawks team. Am I right?
I think there was a lot of question marks after that first game in Detroit. I don't think he looked that great.
Yeah, Breck's friends in that game.
Yeah, I don't think he looked that great next to Bedard, but you look at the St. Louis game, the impact he made in his physicality, and then last night with that beautiful individual effort, I think he has cemented himself on this team. I think we have a quote from Doc, don't we?
I believe we do. I think we got a Colton Dock clip, right? Yeah, in the queue.
Yeah, here it comes.
Yeah, let's hear from Colton.
Showcasing my physical side. I wanted to come out here tonight and try and showcase some other aspects of my game. I'm just going to keep doing that every day.
Yes, sir. No, good to see. He definitely played more to his identity, I would say, in this game. He didn't try to be something he wasn't, which is sometimes what players do. I think, coaches speak about a lot, especially Blashill. Like, you got to figure out where you fit into the team, right? You got to figure out what identity you play to. What's your role, right? I think Doc knows exactly what his role is. He's going to be a physical guy. He's going to get hits. He's going to be a dog to play against. Like, that's what he's going to do.
He's going to be your sandpaper guy.
He's not really a guy you expect to chip in the offense, but like the fact that he can do that too is just a bonus. Solid third-line production. I think you could expect that out of Colton Dock.
Yeah, that's like a, kind of a Brian Bickle archetype almost, right?
A
little
snazzy.
bit. I mean, coming out of the AHL, he spent a few years down there in Rockford, so a little bit of a different development path than Colton has taken to the NHL, but, still that same kind of game, being a very imposing player, killing penalties, but then also, showing that scoring touch and that playmaking ability and, coming up in big moments.
Yeah,
I think that could definitely be a slight comp to his, player type right now.
Could be
I think
something there.
just the biggest question I ask myself about Colton Dock is the injuries.
Yeah.
I mean, he was
like
dealing
his
with
brother. I mean,
we've
been through this
as
with the Doc.
his brother, but
Yeah, that's the question mark. It always is a question mark with the Docs, right? So that's something we can't really, predict, right? It's just sort of luck of the draw. But the way he plays, though, it does sort of leave himself liable to those sort of situations that could develop. Especially, he's going to be a guy who's like around the board, play a lot, net front, and those are kind of the areas where you see a lot of those injuries develop. So we'll see. I think he's got that sort of build where as long as he knows how to play to his body, which is something his brother doesn't know how to do. Like Kirby Doc, a lot of times he's awkward out there.
Yeah, he's like Bambi sometimes out there.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Like
yeah.
Kirby, I think it's more about he needs to show his talent more and not try to do too much. But I think with Colin, it's sort of the opposite. He has that talent, but I think if anything, it's going to benefit him more the more physical he is. So I don't really see it as much concern with Colton Doc.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I like this rage. Yeah, Andrew Shaw a little bit. Yeah, I would say.
Yeah,
I think that's
definitely
Similar but
Waugh.
different. Similar but different. Yeah,
I think I see more Sansa Waugh being the next Andrew Shaw compared to Of course. I knew it had to come up. Yeah. But I mean, all throughout, his juniors, all throughout, the AHL last season, just the flair that he brings with the offense, the sandpaper-like mentality on the defense. I just think Saint-Savoie is Andrew Shaw.
Yeah. If he does end up being Andrew Shaw, that's great. This team needs a guy like that. And, if you had two in Colton Dock and Savoie, and, one's a little more high up on the chart in terms of the forward lines and can score like Doc has shown, Savoie has that talent as well. So, if these guys can contribute in that way once they reach the NHL, that would be huge.
Absolutely. I would 100% agree with that.
He's definitely going to be a guy that's in the conversation down. There's a lot of guys in that bottom six. There's going to be a lot of competition there.
Yeah.
He's definitely a guy where I think this is sort of the year for Colton Dock, right? I think it kind of has to happen this year, just with his age and all that, 2021 draft pick. A lot of guys in the wings there, a lot of competition. Like, this is the year for him to sort of grab that roster spot and assert himself as a future member of this offensive core. So
again,
hope to see him do it.
Another shit or get off the pot kind of year for Colton Dock.
Absolutely. What's up, Doc? What's up, Doc? I'm just glad we didn't get shut out, man. It was nice just hearing that first goal horn and Chelsea dagger of the year.
Yeah, how was the vibes in the UC last night? Was it bumping for a preseason game?
Yeah, good? They weren't selling tickets to the 300 level, but no, I mean, that's sort of condensed the fans in the 200 and 100 level. I believe Penn Pope said it was around 10,000 attendance, may have been a little less. Vibes were strong, though. Yeah. I mean, I would say, maybe not the nice result we wanted, but it's preseason. The Lion does not concern himself with a preseason hockey loss, right? Everybody says if you win the preseason, that means you're going all the way. If you lose, it doesn't matter. It's a wash, right? So, yeah. But no, I think generally speaking, the vibes are high. You could see the excitement for this young team. I think that's just the noticeable difference that I saw in the UC based on my experience yesterday. There does seem to be a lot of murmurs and excitement around this team. So that's good to see, which is a little different than I'd say from past seasons.
I will say one downside from what I've seen just throughout the preseason, and it breaks my heart, honestly, is Ethan Del Mastro.
What about Ethan Del Mastro? He had a rough game.
He's strung together like a couple rough games, I feel like.
Yeah, I would say like Ben Pope. I remember I saw an article from Ben Pope where he basically said this is Del Mastro's spot to lose on the left side, and he's losing it right now. Like, it was his roster spot to lose, and right now I'd say he hasn't really grabbed that by the bones. So it's between him, Allen, and Matt Grizzly, because we just sent Korchinski down, which we'll get into Korchinski. But yeah, it's kind of between those three for that last defensive spot there, assuming Louis Crevier is the number 7 there. So the battle for that 6 and 7 defensive spot is definitely pretty high there. So and right now, I wouldn't say there's a clear front runner. Like, I really don't think there has been. And unfortunately, it's like if none of Korch, which obviously not him, but or if none of Allen or Del Mastro are able to assert themselves, do we end up actually citing Matt Grizzly? Is he going to be on this team?
I think the door is opening for Matt Grizzly because guys are not taking the step up that they were expected to this training camp. Guys are, seemingly, staying stagnant or taking a step down. Korchinski, Del Mastro, it's not super encouraging to start the year, obviously.
Yeah, no, it's not ideal, right? It's tough because we have so much young defensemen. Yeah. Like, I'd rather play them. Like, why are we potentially bringing in Matt Grizzly? I just don't understand. It makes no sense.
I see the producer chair's empty right now. I did put a Blast Shill clip on the soundboard, so I'm gonna go.
You're gonna go do that? Wow, look at this guy. Look at the versatility.
One Nolan in 2 places.
Look at this guy. Look at this.
Our multitask extraordinaire over here.
We're young, but especially on D, you're young, so you kind of have a bit of a roller coaster at times of some real good stuff, and then some mistakes that as we continue on, we got to start kind of evening out that roller coaster and have it really good and not quite as many mistakes, and but that's a learned process. And it's not just on it's not just a youth thing at all. I think as a hockey team, we got to keep getting better at that to kind of eliminate the big errors. I don't think we started. We've ended games better than we've started, so we got to make sure we do a better job of that. But overall, I thought there were certain areas we took steps. I think we're making progress. The whole goal is to be as ready as we can next Tuesday, and today was a good learning time.
Yeah, it was definitely a learning experience game, which that's kind of what the preseason's all about. It's all about getting reps and the practice and the ice time. It's game simulations. You talk about watching Formula One, right? It's track time. It's testing time, right? And it's not really about the wins or losses or the lap times. It's really about just getting those reps in and getting up to speed and learning a new system. I mean, Blashill's a new coach, obviously, and a whole new staff around him, and it's going to take time to kind of get up to speed there. And there's going to be learning curves, especially if a young team. There's going to be learning curves, right? We clearly saw that last night. And we're going to see a lot of that this year. So nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with letting the kids kind of develop up here and learn and kind of make those adjustments. So yeah.
How lightning quick was that transition?
Fantastic work, Nolan. Really well done. Stick taps for Nolan. It's
like the SpongeBob episode.
Yeah.
Did you see me? I'll do it again.
Yeah.
And he just stays in the same spot. Yeah, exactly.
You're like the Flash.
I was gonna, you were just talking about Formula One. I mean, I kind of comp myself to Guido and Pete Stop and Cars.
Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah, you're
Shout
like
Guido.
Guido.
Out the Italians.
Pete Stop.
Yes. Yes, everyone's a Ferrari fan, even if they say they're not a Ferrari fan. I like that very much. Speaking of young defensemen, I do think we got to get into this. I think this is definitely worthy of a pretty lengthy discussion today. Kevin Korchinski was sent down, demoted to the Rockford Ice Hogs yesterday. At least for the start of the year, he will be playing with Rockford. According to Jeff Blashill, he might get another preseason game, exhibition game. We'll see about that.
I do want to see him in another preseason game.
Yeah, so he'll get temporarily called back up, and we'll see him over the weekend. I imagine the weekend's going to be a lot of the young guys. I think you kind of seen what you have to see out of the vets and the team at this point. Maybe you see a couple of those guys get one more game.
The back-to-back Friday, Saturday. I think you
back-to-back Friday, Saturday.
You play your NHL lineup on Friday, and then Saturday it's more of just like the bubble guys. Give them one last look.
Yeah.
Like Korchinski is in that bubble group.
Exactly. So and then you give those guys the 3-day rest, leading into Tuesday against Florida. The season that actually matters.
Yeah. I do think, I hope, and I really hope on this, that Kevin Korchinski, this lights a fire under his ass.
I hope so, man.
Being demoted again, obviously, I think it's pretty well known that defensemen don't take, it's not night and day that they're going to become an NHL defenseman overnight.
Yeah, goalie development, development takes a lot more time than forward development.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So I think, obviously, Korchinski's still only 21 years old. There's still a lot of path towards him. I mean, I'm not really worried about Korchinski unless he's getting sent down after the 27-28 season.
Yeah, but is this not a little concerning? I'm not going to hit the panic button here. I'm not saying,
you're hovering over it.
I'm hovering over the panic button. The panic button is there. I see it. I'm not hitting it, but I know. I understand. I had people DMing me this like I don't know this information. I'm aware Korchinski could not play with Ice Hogs in the 23-24 season because of the silly rule that teenagers from the Canadian Major Junior ranks, it's either the NHL or Major Junior. It's a silly rule.
It's ridiculous.
Just look at it. If Korchinski was drafted next draft, he would be able to play in the AHL.
I just think you look at
19.
Exactly. Right. And now they brought in that new rule that actually each team can have one 19-year-old there. So where was that a few years ago when Korchinski was coming up? I don't disagree that did kind of seem to set him back a little bit. He started out the year pretty strong, but as the year went along, I could clearly tell he wasn't ready. And last year, he had time Rockford. I wish Nick could serve back. I knew he was going to be in Rockford last year. I wasn't really tweaking about that too much. I had 16 games with the Hawks. But, is 2 years in the AHL after playing a full season, is that not a little concerning?
Yeah, it's a little concerning.
It's definitely
for sure.
Cause for we got to kind of take a step back out and look at the player as a whole, and what did he do in the NHL in his first season? He held his own, and then what happened? What caused him to not continue a positive development path? It has to be something within the coaching, his own habits, or. It's hard to say because you saw him look so promising in the NHL, and now he's being forced to return to Rockford for a second year. It's just not encouraging at all.
And here's the thing too: it's like everybody's saying, "Oh, this year he's going to get the number one reps that he didn't get last year." But it's like, well, yeah, but if we're going to be signing Matt Grzelcyk, he's not going to be the only young defenseman down at Rockford. Allen might be down there, Dalmasho might be down there. So is he always going to be the number one defenseman in Rockford on any given night? He's going to be competing with those guys just like he was last year. So it's like I don't know. I hope to see obviously some growth out of him in year 2 in the HL this year. We hope to see that for sure. More reps, more number one power play time, number one PK time, more all-around development, right? It could be good for him. I do think we're going to see him on the Hawks at some point this year. Obviously not to start, but hopefully he plays so well down there to where, they have no choice but to call him back up. A little different, Hopefully it gets to follow that trajectory. I just think, as a defenseman, his situation's a little different as we referenced. They tend to take longer, not always, but every defenseman's different. But yeah, just for every Duncan Keith, there's also an Adam Boquist. We don't know what's going to happen here, right? It could work out for him. He's 21 years old. He could easily still figure it out. I think anyone who watches Korchinski, you could clearly see the potential. But you could also clearly see there's a lot of holes in his game, too, that need to be ironed out. He's not NHL ready yet. If he was, he'd be up here right now.
The big comparison that, was big going into draft day with Kevin Korchinski was another Seattle Thunderbird named Shea Theodore. Shea Theodore, it took him 4 years to, carve out a role in Vegas after being traded to Anaheim. Obviously, in this hypothetical, we don't want Kevin Korchinski traded. We want Korchinski to succeed here. But if that's what's got to happen, that's what's got to happen. But you look at it, I mean, it took him 4 years to carve out a role in the NHL, and he became a stud with Vegas.
Yeah, and some guys take a while, like Duncan Keith's another one, right? Drafted 2002, but he didn't really play his full year until it was his 05-06 season.
Yeah.
So I guess comparison that would be around this year, but so he's a year behind Dunks, but there's also the lockout. But anyway, that's a topic for another time.
Yeah.
But again, Korch, still only 21 years old. As for a defenseman, that's young. Like I'd say that's like being like a 20-year-old forward. So he's probably going to see a similar situation as Nazar was last year. I guess now I see your comp there. So we'll see. I think it's going to be a big year from Rockford, definitely to monitor his progress there. I think it's interesting. Like you look at the development of a guy like Sam Renzel versus him. I brought this up on the show last year and I want to bring up again. What's a big difference in where the bringing up of Korchinski and Renzel? What leads they?
I think that NCAA hockey has a big part to do with that.
That's
because,
what I was teeing up there.
Yeah, you're not like in junior leagues. Like it's a little more of like a more like creative game, and like there's a lot more offensive potential from defensemen. Yeah, there's a lot more showmanship in that league. But college hockey, it's so like play in this system or you're scratched. Basically, like it's so much more
NHL like that.
It's so much more rigid. And like guys are expected to be responsible in the defensive zone. Well, in Seattle when Korchinski was there, he was kind of like go be Kevin. It was more of that than playing within a system.
Hi, Kevin.
Because there's more pride, I think, behind the college game. You're
100%,
representing a school, you're representing a program. These guys are going to be here for a few years versus, juniors guys are leaving for a draft like so often. Yeah. It kind of happens the same with college, but there's just much more of a set in stone way that we do things for college programs.
And I think you're going to see that within like the next couple of years too, just because like all the kids coming from the CHL to the NCAA, like two guys I want to look out for this year, Porter Martone, Gavin McKenna.
That's a big one.
And, if you want to throw in a third
Carter.
one. Who?
Or Verhoff?
Verhoff, I was going to say him, but I was also going to think about Jackson Smith.
Okay.
Jackson Smith is kind of like a Kevin Korchinski comp in a way. I mean, there's a lot of similarities that I see, with Korchinski at 18 to Jackson Smith at 18. So I'm going to be very interested to see, we were just talking about it with Chase in the first hour. That Penn State, Arizona State game is going to be unreal.
Yeah, we're there.
Yeah, it's going to be a ton of fun, right? That'll be something to monitor for prospect talk here.
One last question I wanted to ask about Korchinski, if you guys don't mind.
Sure, go ahead.
Do you guys think that Korchinski would be the first defenseman called up if there was an injury?
That's why you can't really answer that question now because you have to see how the season develops. You have to see how who else is down there with him. If it's Alan Dalmasha, like which of those three is playing the best. He's younger than both of those guys, so Alan Dalmasha might be called before him just because they have that experience that he doesn't. Right? Yeah. They're both 2021 draft picks, I believe, and Korchinski was 2022. So
correct. Yeah.
There's that to take into account. Plus those guys, more reps last year, I'd say compared to Korch. Although not the year before. It's just more of that kind of defensive game. So it wouldn't shock me. I think with Korchinski, like he's gonna get reps up here though this year. Like I think he had reps last year, had 16 games, and hopefully he gets more than that this year. So I hope if he is called. Here's the thing though, don't call up Korchinski if you don't plan on keeping him up here. Like I don't want to see him going back and forth all the time. Between
snip snap
between Rockford, between Rockford and Chicago. You could do that with Alan Dalmasha because with all respect to both of those defensemen, like I just, those are third pair guys at best. Whereas Korchinski still has that top four defensive potential. He could still be, he could still be an elite, second pair power play guy in the future. He's still even dare I say, if he figures it out, he could still be a top pair guy down the line. Could still be a 20+ minute muncher, right? So he could still play a big part in this Blackhawks core. Alan Dalmasha, I just, those are guys I think that you could sort of afford to lose. So I think, those are guys I'm okay with sort of having that cycle of NHL, AHL time versus, Kevin. We can't screw up Korchinski's development. I think every decision you make from this point forward has to be calculated. You have to get it right. Yep. I think so far we've gotten it wrong, but I think now we're sort of trying to make amends here and get him back up to speed. So, but yeah, this is a big year for Korchinski. You could sort of say last year, okay, you could kind of give him the benefit of the doubt, but if he doesn't really make that progression in Rockford this year and we're in the same situation next year, then you're kind of getting into. I don't think, because I've seen people bring up, do we trade him? No, I don't think the answer is no. Like we don't trade Korchinski yet, but if we're in a similar situation, similar boat next year, it might be something you have to entertain. You know,
he is this season's Lucas Reichel in terms of it's put up or shut up time.
Yeah,
it does kind of feel like that. It does.
No, he 100%.
The only difference is he's putting up or shutting up in the AHL versus NHL.
Exactly, because what are you going to do? Put Lucas Reichel in the AHL?
No,
you can't do that.
No point.
We know what they're doing now.
He's going to be gone.
He's going to be gone soon.
That'll be a conversation later in the Hawks Hour for sure. Yeah,
but yeah, I just wanted to cut back to what you said on Nolan Allen. Do you think he's kind of not going to be a top 4 guy ever?
He's not a top 4 guy. I think he's a. I hate to do this again, but it
sucks that he was a first round draft pick, and things are they've been shaky.
To be fair, he was
32nd overall,
and that was also in the 2021 draft. That was like much different than other years because that was like when the COVID seasons were going on. Like that draft was sort of one that was a bit different, bit of a wash.
And
virtual
again,
draft.
Allen was way off the board. I mean, he was projected at like a 3rd round pick.
It's an interesting, draft pick looking back at it.
Yeah,
for
sure.
Allen DeMastro are both Bowman guys, or not Davidson guys. What is Davidson's guy? Korchinski.
That's right.
So who do you think would be moved first?
He was the first ever draft pick under Davidson.
Korchinski was the first ever draft pick by Davidson, so he's going to give him as much leeway and he's going to be very patient with him. He still wants to see him work out.
But I want to bring it back to that 2022 draft class and bring up a hypothetical for you. I mean, would you consider that first round? Even if Korchinski doesn't pan out, like, do you consider that
it's still
a
great.
Waste? No, I 100% agree with you.
I mean, look at Frank Nazar. Look at Sam Renzel. So 2 for 3 are still great, and we can't write off Korchinski yet. Another reason you want to see Korchinski pan out, I mean, we traded Alex DeBrincat for him, which I know Ken only played a year in Ottawa, he's obviously made his mark in Detroit, but that was really one of the first moves that really kind of got this rebuild going. So you really want to see him work out. I want to see him be the Cam Barker of this core, which unfortunately right now, it's kind of trending that way. But again, you could still likable guy too. I know the guys in the room like him. Good relationship with Bedard.
Yeah, the spinoramas and warm-ups.
What was
puck bunnies go crazy.
It was. It seemed like kind of his best friend on the team, and it seems like Frank Nazar sort of taking that title
Frank's
from him.
That over, yeah,
in terms of the vibes. But again, likable guy. Korchinski, and again, I'll definitely be pulling for him. Hope he can figure it out. But definitely the pressure's on. Pressure's on for sure. If it wasn't already, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, we do have a clip from Frank Nazar. If we're talking about good vibes with Frank Nazar, if our lovely producer would mind playing that.
Frank the Tank. Yeah, I think. Sorry, what were you saying?
Are we just going to wrap up with some Korchinski thoughts here?
Yeah, what were we going to say? Man?
Yeah, I just think...
we got it.
I have to ask, what the hell is 6'7"? Can you? I'm not that old, but I feel like I'm completely out of the loop on that. What? Any insight on it? If you know, you know.
You just gotta know, yeah. Just gotta know.
You just gotta know, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the vibes of this team. I mean,
I love it. I love it.
I absolutely love it. That I just think it's interesting though that Nazar's like taken over that Korchinski like best friend role with Connor Bedard.
We're having best friend talk here, but I will say
this is not a Sharks podcast. We don't have best friends talk.
I will say this,
what? No sleepover bobbleheads?
We're gonna do cliff diving bobbleheads.
Yeah,
with Foligno.
I will say this, I can't believe the amount of NHL fans who somehow found a way to hate on this. Like, to hate on this Bedard Nazar 6'7" trend. Like, it's fun. Like, we have something fun, and we still have NHL fans who are like, no, that's not fun. That's cringe. Like, NHL fans complain when players don't show any personality and are just media talking heads. And when we do show personality, it's like, oh, that's not good for the culture of the game. Back in my day, you'd never see something like this. Like, such a bipolar fandom. Can we not have nice things? Can we not have nice things?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you.
If Celebrity and Smith were doing that, everybody would be glazing the hell of it. But Bedard and Nazar doing it, it's like, oh, Chicago, down the dumps. It's just
and everyone said he's having no fun here and wants to leave.
And now
look at him. Look at him. He looks happy.
Fun, yeah. And now they're trying to spin this narrative of it's just ridiculous, man. Anyway, that's a little rant out the way. But
I mean, it was well deserved. I think it needed to be out there.
I just had to get my 2 cents.
I'm so fucking sick of the Sharks vibes, man. I'm sick of this.
I'm sick of hearing about them them too. But hopefully we hear more about the Hawks vibes this year, and we could sort of flip the narrative here. And I think you're going to see it. I think we're seeing it as we speak right now. So, I think to transition from Korchinski, another guy we got to talk about a lot, I think today is, I'm sure Nat's happy she's not here to hear about this, is Lukas Reichel.
Oh, boy.
Lucas. Via Frank Saravalli regarding Reichel rumors, the Blackhawks are currently working on a deal to have him land somewhere likely before next week. When rosters are completed, this is not going to be a big return. We're talking probably a mid to late round pick here, and that's really exciting stuff right there.
Great.
So Reichel trade is imminent. I've been hearing about Reichel rumors for a while now that he's probably going to get moved, but now, no, he's going to get moved. When Frank Saravalli says it, he's going to get moved. So
it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of
it's when. It could happen literally any moment. It could happen right now. We got to be ready, right? Got to be refreshing Hawks Twitter, right?
Check the phones.
Yeah, and chat. You got to keep filming us in chat. But no, for Lucas, it sucks to see it get to this point. This is a guy I had a lot of faith in. I kept my faith in, my trust in that he'd figure it out. I hate to be wrong. I'm a stubborn guy. Mm-hmm. I hate to be wrong. I remember watching Reichel in the 2022-2023 season. Like, man, this guy is a future star right here. Like, he was one of the few bright spots on that Blackhawks tank team, the Tank for Bedard team.
I want to bring up the first game that he had in that 2022-2023 season, playing with Max Domi. I was looking back at those highlights. He had his first goal that game, and then he looked absolutely unreal in that overtime, passing the puck over to Domi. Domi finishes 4-3, Hawks win in overtime.
He had a goal and 2 assists. He had a 3-point game that night. A goal and 2 assist game. He was absolutely fantastic. So
I did not think I was going to hear Max Domi's name today. So thank you for that.
Once
Nolan.
Again, you never know.
Good old days.
You never know what polls you're going to get. But Reichel, that whole year, it was a shortened season, but he had I think it was 7 goals, 8 assists, 15 points, 23 games in that year. So
you definitely saw flashes there, and then what happened?
Yeah, what happened is the question indeed. It just didn't really pan out there. The last couple of years had opportunities. It just didn't work out. I would say more opportunities in 23-24. We had a lot of time in the top 6 that year. Got off to a rough start and just never really got it back. Got sent down the Rockford, called back up. Had an okay finish this season, but nothing special. Yeah. Last year, never really had the opportunity. It was just stapled to the fourth line all year with Pat Maroon and Craig Smith. I almost mixed up the names there, but
and the thing with that too is Lukas Reichel is one of the best skaters on this team right now. With even with a team that's coming up with a lot of speed. You look at and then you look at guys like Craig Smith and Pat Maroon. I don't think they really fit well together.
Yeah, it never
just the style of game that he played.
Yeah, we talked about a lot last year. It just never made any sense, man. Never made any sense. And Reichel, had kind of a similar type of season. Didn't really see that progression. And honestly, it wasn't really his fault. He wasn't really put in his position to succeed, which kind of sums up this Hawks tenure. He's had opportunities, but he's also kind of been screwed too. He's kind of been shafted. So it just kind of seemed clear to me that it just wasn't going to work out here. I still think it could work elsewhere. It does seem like the team that's been most connected to him continues to be the Oilers. Mark Spector did have a quote on him.
Another Stan Bowman recollection process.
Right, yeah, this is from Mark Spector. Lucas Reichel will draw interest for sure in Edmonton. GM Stan Bowman drafted him in Chicago, as you mentioned, and now needs to get younger in Edmonton. Reichel is soft and likely not the top 6 center Chicago hoped he'd be. Nope.
Yeah, that was the exact quote, right?
Yeah,
in the tweet, Reichel was soft, and people were in the comments like, "This is how you're, marketing a player that could get traded to our team." But it's like he's being honest. He's being so honest. He's a little soft.
Yeah, needs a fresh start like Vasily Podkolzin in a place where he's not seen as a first rounder. Yeah, Edmonton would make a ton of sense in that perspective. You look at he could they bring in guys like Matt Savoie and Isaac Howard and Reichel would sort of fit in there with Vasily Podkolzin. They suddenly have a pretty interesting looking, kind of exciting bottom 6 there in Edmonton.
Yeah,
so
for sure,
Reichel I think would make a lot of sense there. We'll see. They're not the only team via the fourth period. The Canucks and the Sharks are all. Of course, the Sharks are also on the teams. Wow, are we going to see
the Kurashev and Reichel line?
Reichel connection?
Yeah.
I think we will be seeing them on the Shanghai Dragons in a few years.
Ni hao.
Yeah, we'll see about that, but I'd rather see the Oilers than the Sharks. I swear, if it's the Sharks, I think I'm going to lose my mind.
I'd also like to see the Canucks.
Canucks, whatever. Doesn't really move me
I
that
think
much.
the Oilers moves me the most. I think he has the most potential to have a great change of scenery year statistically there versus the other two.
I mean,
how do you feel about that?
That is what I worry about with Reichel. Kind of what you say is I knew it just wasn't trending here, but I do worry that he goes elsewhere and he suddenly figures it out on a team that
puts
kind of
up 50 points
on a team that kind of knows what he is and kind of fills him in, identity wise, and where he should be playing, where the pressure's not really on him as much, right? The pressure's sort of off. I could see him being a guy that's and he's never going to be a star in this league, I don't think, but I could see him being a solid kind of middle of the road type of guy. he could also flop though, because he's kind of one of those guys you look at where it's like not quite enough talent for the top 6. Not enough of a toolbox at the bottom 6, so he's kind of just got to figure that out where he draws in there. But on a team like the Oilers, man, if he gets reps, I mean, with McDavid, Draisaitl, like man, he could flourish. I mean, I don't know if he would. They probably prefer him in a bottom 6 role, but in Edmonton, man, like those two go through a lot of wingers. So if he does go to Edmonton, like that's a perfect
There's a
spot
bunch
for
of
him.
potential there, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Sharks and Vancouver, more of a question mark, but that does seem to be a good fit
Vancouver's
there.
a lot better than San Jose.
Yeah. I just don't really know where he kind of fits there.
God, if he goes to San Jose and puts up like 50 points, I am scared shitless.
I don't think that would happen if he went to San Jose. I think he and Kersh, that would be, third, fourth line, putting up around 20 points over under. I don't think we really see much from them in San Jose. So, well, you never know. We'll see. That doesn't move
It all
me.
just depends upon, what situation he's put in.
That too, right? So again, we're kind of speculating until we see what team he's traded to. It's hard to know, how that's going to work out. But I'm just kind of diagnosing Chicago here. You could sort of understand it, right? I mean, on one hand, I don't love it because I don't love the prospect of getting kind of nothing for him in return, which kind of sounds like any return we're going to get for Reichel is probably going to be underwhelming. I mean,
it's going to be. Player to be named later or future considerations.
Cash considerations, yeah.
That's the thing. I don't even know if it's going to be like another player in his sort of situation. I've seen some trade hypotheticals put out there. Like Chinikov in Columbus is one, but
I saw one with Luke
Evangelista.
Yeah, I saw them talking about him. And,
That would be
Nashville Blackhawks move. That would be fleece.
Nashville would be
Yeah.
I mean, incompetent to make that trade.
That's
That would not make any sense for them. Even Chinikov, maybe that would make a little more sense, but even that is a bit of a stretch. But based on what I'm hearing from Frank, it's probably going to be a mid-round draft pick.
Like a fourth-round pick or something like
that. It's
like,
what does that do for us? We already have so much draft picks. What does a mid-round pick do? I'd rather just keep them for the year and just see if we can figure it out. But I think clearly just management's lost faith in him. They've lost patience in him. And at this point, they kind of view him as, he takes up a roster spot over guys like Oliver Moore and Ryan Green and, those types of players, like Colton Dock. So it's I just think at this point they feel like they've given him those chances. He's been here for 2 full years, 2 part-time years, and the ship has sort of sailed. They're another guy who's not a Davidson guy too. He's a Bowman guy. So I think that's a big part of why Davidson's kind of okay with shipping him off.
Another hypothetical I want to bring up is another guy who's not signed as an RFA, Alex Holtz in Vegas.
In a Reichel trade?
Yeah, 1-for-1.
I don't think they would make that deal.
Again, I think
it's a similar situation.
They would, wake up the next morning and be freaking out about their job security if they made that trade.
I think
not quite that far, but I think Holtz offers you much more of a guarantee at some production. Lucas is kind of up in the air.
I mean, I kind of look at Alex Holtz kind of like Alexander Nylander.
Hawks legend,
Hawks legend, Alex Nylander.
Yeah.
I just think that Holtz, there's some, still potential there. He's a top 10 pick. Obviously, he had a lot of draft hype, but I mean, you're still getting the pedigree of a 17th overall pick in Lucas Reichel in return, and I know that Vegas can unlock him.
It's a fair point. I think I think all these trades, for us, make sense, but for the other team, I don't know. I feel like the value is just not quite there. I'm just not sure how much faith. The fact that's taken this long, by the way, if we're going to see a Reichel deal, it's going to be the last minute. I feel like we would have seen something like that done already. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
I feel like his value has gone down the drain so much. If you want to make a Reichel trade, get something solid in return, this had to be done a year ago. We've kind of the ship has sort of sailed there, so we're kind of stuck with what we got at the moment, unfortunately, which won't be much. It sounds like, but until it happens for real, it's hard to know for sure.
I wanted to ask if you think that his situation in terms of jumping up and down through the lineup, being in the AHL, is that due to the revolving door of coaches we've had here?
I do think there's a little bit of
that's
into
a big
that.
part of it in my eyes, because certain guys have certain systems they want to play, and 1 year you're slotted in here, and then the next year they don't want anything to do with you because they don't think you fit their system. So
that doesn't help either. I mean, since Reichel has been here, he had a little bit of a stint in 21-22, and that's when Colleton was fired, and they brought in Derek King as an interim, so he's under Derek King that year. Then 22-23, is Richardson, and then that was the case until last year. Then Sorensen comes in, so he had 3 different coaches under this tenure, and 4 including Blashill, which looks like he's not really going to get a chance with. So that is one thing to be said too. For people to say it, for people like me who complain when Reichel doesn't get the ice time, but it's Well, he's had all these different coaching staffs and nothing's changed. So it's like when he's had this much chance under different coaching staffs and management, maybe you got to look in the mirror. Maybe it's a player.
Yeah.
When I saw last year, like I don't want to speculate here, but missing being late for team being that's not ideal.
No, not at all. And it's not like I believe there was in Toronto, William Nylander missed a meeting or two, and they're just not the same caliber of players. No. So Nylander can get away with it. Reichel can't.
Yeah, Reichel, I've never questioned the talent with him. It's clearly there. He just got to unlock it. But for some guys, it just doesn't happen at the NHL level. I mean, this might be a future Swiss League legend, and I don't know. I mean, I'm just not sure if NHL is.
Maybe he goes back to Germany.
Yeah, not like immediately. Like I think he's going to get a second chance somewhere, and again, it's kind of up to him to make that work. But if that chance doesn't work, you typically don't get a third. So that's kind of on him. The ball's in his court there. Hope he can figure it out. Right. He's going to be playing with Germany Olympics this year, so that could be a nice little confidence boost for him. He's always been good in international hockey. He always has. World championships,
I
World
feel like
juniors.
we talked about this, ad nauseum with him.
But guess who's on that team? Leon Draisaitl.
Yeah,
that's the thing of Reichel. Like he's figured every other level he's been at, he's performed except the NHL. So that's just what leads me to believe he's just not an NHL guy.
No, and it's unfortunate too.
It sucks. I like the guy.
He was someone I was looking at in that 2020 draft. It was really funny. I was watching, the TV. I was watching, prospects go down, and obviously with the 2020 draft, you really didn't know what was going on with a bunch of prospects because it was halted by COVID. And the thing I looked at with Lucas Reichel, and it's a really weird fun fact. Him and I share the exact same birthday.
You've never mentioned that before.
Yeah, no.
Is that right?
Yeah, no.
May 17th?
May 17th, 2002, down to the date.
Wow. So the same exact age, too. That's
same exact age.
So if you ever get an interview with Lucas, you're asking him his time of birth, too? to line
were you born at the same time, too?
Yeah, I mean, you never know. We could be long lost twins. You never know.
Wow. I don't really see the resemblance.
He's a lot more handsome than me. You're right.
I was going to say the other way around.
No. No, not the Nolan Glaze session. Come on.
That's good stuff there. But again, we'll be monitoring the Reichel situation. It seems like, we should be having a resolution there pretty soon.
Yeah.
Some more news in Hawks land. I mean, we touched on this earlier, but like Alex Vlasic, we got updated his injury. Not looking too serious. It sounds like via Ben Pope and a blast show, like he will be back for the opener. He'll miss the preseason, but he'll be back for the opener against Ford on Tuesday. So that's good. Dodge a bullet.
He doesn't have anything to prove.
Yeah, dodge a bullet. He doesn't have to be playing these preseason games. And Slager, similar situation. I haven't really seen him in the preseason, but he should be ready to go by opening day. So that's good to see there for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. So that is our news of the day. I believe it is time.
I was going to add another news of the day in here, actually.
Oh, you got a new one?
Just real quick. You had written it down. NHL's 2025 franchise valuations have come in via Sportico.
Right. Yes.
So the Hawks' value overall has increased, but their placement has dropped from 6th overall most valuable NHL franchise to 7th. No, not that. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry. I'm just reporting it as is. That's why I put the notes. I see they were 6th last year. Now they're 7th this year. I'm sorry. I'll make the rules here.
Oh, no.
I believe I saw their valuations went up, and I believe it was around 12 to 14%. I think the Oilers passed them for 6th, if I'm not mistaken. So, it's 7th overall for the Blackhawks. I'm old enough to remember when they were like top 3, top 4. Like they were at one point.
I think eventually you'll get back to that point whenever they're championship contenders again. Hopefully that comes within the next 5 years or something like that. So
yeah, I think that'll help there. I think just kind of be in the midst of a rebuild here. I know a team that's obviously increased a lot. It's the Panthers, going to 3 straight finals is going to do that to you.
Edmonton as well, having the best player in the world.
Yeah, that obviously helps a ton. So, I mean, it's it's what it is. I mean, Hawks are always going to be up there, but as a Original 6 team, you like to see them in the mix. They're up there with the Rangers and the Leafs and the Canadians.
The Red Wings, yeah.
Yeah, well, the Red Wings actually below us. The Red Wings are 10th. The Red Wings, I believe, are 10th.
I was thinking of Boston.
Boston's 4th, I believe. Yeah. So there's a bit of a gap there between us. I think I can't remember what the 15 was, but I know the Oilers were in 6th. So maybe it might have been Philly, but yeah, no, it's franchise valuation, so it's not that deep. But if you're in the business, you get something you can look at and think, well, why are we dropping here? And it's probably just because we're in the midst of a bit of a rebuild here. When we get back in our contention window, and which is hopefully on the horizon here, and getting back in the playoffs and future Cup appearances, hopefully we'll be back in the ranks there. So
that's right. I just wanted to, for those curious out there, number 1, $4.25 billion, the Maple Leafs.
Past the Rangers.
Number
right?
2, the Rangers, $3.65 billion. Yeah. Number 3, the Montreal Canadiens, $3.3 billion. And the Bruins, $3 billion flat. Kings, $2.96 billion. Oilers, $2.76 billion. And the Hawks at 7th place at $2.74 billion.
Okay, so you're right on par with the Oilers. I was kind of surprised that the Kings have gone up that much.
It's LA.
I mean, yeah,
LA,
true. It is
big
LA.
market. Yeah, LA, Los Angeles, Hollywood. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, well, okay, all right. You got me.
I got you.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Also,
we got him.
I'd like to pose a question for both of you. The Hawks finally started selling their Centennial jerseys today. Are now available. If you guys decide to purchase one, which player are you getting on the back?
I'm going to give 2 answers. One is Spencer Knight, because I always love getting the goalie's jersey. Yeah. And, he signed here for a long time, so it feels like a safe jersey to buy versus some others that were, like a Reichel jersey right now. Maybe not the best
Probably wouldn't do so good. I thought about getting one for now. I'm glad I saved my money on that one.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I think... I love Colton Dock, but that's a risky jersey purchase in my eyes. I think
I have a Kirby Dock jersey, so
that'd be perfect for you then.
That would be perfect.
Yeah,
77.
Reunite the Dock brother jerseys.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so you're either between Knight and
Nazar.
Okay. I believe my 2 choices are Frank Nazar. The only current Blackhawk I have is Connor Bedard. I bought that as soon as it was available in 2023. I mean, I was probably one of the first 5 people in the NHL shop to buy it. And then I believe my 2 choices are either Sam Renzel or Frank Nazar, because I think those are the 2 biggest locks to be here long term.
I respect that. Yeah, for me, I already got 2. I got a home Bedsy and I got a Centennial. Not Centennial, sorry. Winter Classic jersey from Nazar last year. So I wouldn't get another Bedsy Nazar. So it'd be somebody different for the Centennial if I decide to purchase it, or if somebody wants to, give me a Christmas present, hint.
What about all
or
of
a birthday
us?
present, or all of us. Somebody wants to help out.
Interesting.
I'm just sort of throwing that out there. I'm just kind of playing.
Yeah, that'd be super cool. Yeah.
But yeah, I would say play. I only know I need to kind of let the season kind of progress a little bit. I need to see more. I'm not really sure my number 3 is. Bedsy Nazar, my clear 1-2. I don't really have a clear cut number 3 yet, so I kind of need to let the play a little bit. Maybe Vlasic, hometown boy, veteran, future captain. Maybe he could be on the cards there. Excited to see what Renzel can do. So future probably top defenseman of the core there. So potentially
sneaky one that none of us
already
have
party
yet.
Levchinov for his personality.
Oliver Moore.
Moorsey, yeah, he could be a fun one. If Frundell was up here, I consider Frundell, but he's a ways down the road.
I have a feeling we'll see him in that jersey though in April.
You're probably saving your money for Kanserov down the road when he gets here.
Hey, I mean, I was actually thinking about purchasing a Roman Kanserov Magnitogorsk jersey. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
No way.
No, I was being dead serious about this, and I was this close to pulling the trigger, but the website in the U.S. does not have Magnitogorsk jerseys.
Feels bad, man.
Feels bad. Yeah.
Might say maybe wait for when Nick Lourdes gets up here.
Yeah, Nick Lourdes would be another great one. Yeah,
that's a guy right there.
I don't know about 76 is the number though.
Yeah. You gotta think about the number too, right?
Yeah.
There's some numbers that have more aura than others. I'm not quite sure how much the Korchinskis are going to be flying off the shelves at this point. I'm not sure we're going to see him in that jersey this year. We shall see.
I'll get my Rockford Korchinski jersey.
The Screw City jerseys, those black ones are nails.
Yeah, I do like those Rockford jerseys. Those are pretty sick. Knight would be a good one as a starter. Good personality as well. Good leader in the room. A potential franchise goaltender. So I consider getting a Knight. Yeah. But I don't have a clear cut number 3. I kind of have to let that play out. I wouldn't say there's a clear player, non-Bedard Nazar for me at the moment, where it's that's a jersey I want to get. Maybe Tavo for some 2015 nostalgia. That could be a guy in the cards.
Hey, that's our guy right here.
Yeah, he's
Tavo.
right there. Yeah, you met
Turbo
him.
time.
I did meet him at the Motorola store on Michigan Avenue in 2015.
That's sick. Very nice.
Yeah, very
nice.
nice.
All right, speaking of Charlie, I think it might be time to dive into some Weber's Wagers.
What do we got on the cards today, Charlie?
Yeah.
What are you
favorite
cooking?
part of the podcast.
What's
Let's
he cooking?
disclaim.
Let's disclaim. Read the disclaimer and proclaim this good word right here. The following content may discuss topics related to gambling. Gambling can be addictive and not suitable for all individuals. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, help is available by calling 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Please gamble responsibly and be aware of the risks.
Thank you for that, Charlie.
Yes,
thank you, Charlie.
Thank you. So Monday was very good to us. Cortland Sutton, anytime touchdown for the Broncos.
Bang.
And the over 44.5 in the Jets Dolphins.
Bang.
Yes, bang. Shout out to Justin Fields for, getting down.
That was an unreal touchdown.
Yeah, helping us out with those points there at the end for the over. So that was great. We'll always love you in Chicago, Justin.
Thank you.
I wanted to give out.
Oh, that Justin, wrong Justin.
Yeah, sorry.
I just heard Justin. I'm like, whoa, what are you summoning me?
I wanted to give out 2 picks for today. We are miles away from Game 2 of the wild card series at Wrigley Field. Padres,
with our Cubbies?
With our Cubbies.
Boy, here comes the Cubs glaze.
So we've got an interesting matchup here. We've got former Cubs farmhand Dylan Cease starting for the Padres today. He was traded to the White Sox and then later to the Padres.
Yeah,
so
you know all about him, Justin, right?
Oh yeah, big Dylan Cease guy. Yeah, I wish it panned out here. I could say about a lot of White Sox players.
I wish he panned out for the Cubs too. So I'm right with you, Justin.
That's right.
We are gonna just take the Cubs to close out this series today.
Bring out the brooms.
Bring out the brooms for a 2-0 wild card sweep. We got Andrew Kittredge opening the game, and then Shota will pick up in the second inning. I assume that's
Patrick Kane's moniker.
What do you think about that? Is that to limit him facing the top of this order for a third time? Because it's very right-hand power hitting heavy, and I think that's what he's been struggling with. So
I would say that. Yeah, I just think getting the right-hander early. I do think it's kind of weird that it's your 8th inning guy, going out.
I did say this though earlier in the week. I said we could see like an opener or a bullpen game happen.
You did say that. So stick taps to Charlie on that. W Charlie's.
Yeah, W Charlie's in the
hopefully
chat.
W Cubs, because that's what we're going with. Cubs to win -115 on the money line today against the Padres to send us to a series with the Brewers.
I know so many people at that game right now. I wish I was there, but you know what? We're having so much fun on the podcast. Why even bother even thinking about that?
These Cubs jerseys are sickening.
What? It says Chicago on it.
You love it.
You love Chicago.
Utter woke nonsense. You cheer for one baseball team and one baseball team only. You can't
Chicago Cubs
skate to one song and one song only.
All right. Actually, they're going to be starting pretty soon here,
They
too.
start in 6 minutes, first pitch.
Oh, wow. Yeah, well,
So
I'm sure you guys are ready
get
for that.
that in while you guys can.
Yeah.
And then we are going to take tomorrow's Thursday night football match. It is the LA Rams hosting the San Francisco 49ers, who had a tough
matchup.
loss to the Jaguars on Sunday. And the Rams, they're surprising everyone this year, I think. No one thought that they were going to be this elite of a team.
Yeah, especially losing, a guy like Cooper Kupp.
Exactly. And Puka Nacua has stepped into that, superstar top 5 wide receiver in the league role for them, which has been super, necessary at this point. And aside from the heartbreaking comeback loss to the Eagles, the Rams have looked competent and not shaky in any area of the game in their other 3 matches. Mm-hmm. So we're just going to take the Rams -7 at home against kind of a, I don't want to say declining 49ers team, but they're
shaky 49ers.
They're shaky. They're kind of unsure of what they are as a team this year in terms of, run play versus pass play and how they're kind of sharing the ball.
For sure.
Like, it hasn't looked great, but they've been able to come by with wins. It's looked great for the Rams. So I think at home the Rams are going to cover this 7-point spread against the division rival out there. So yeah, Cubs money line, Rams -7, and Thursday night football are your Weber's wagers of the day.
Can we get a couple quick minutes of Cubs glaze here?
Go ahead.
I am so excited to see this game today. I was so excited. Who do I have on the back of my jersey? Seiya Suzuki.
Seiya.
He hit the he started up the Bomb Fest yesterday. Him and Carson Kelly going back to back. I mean, that was huge. That was an absolute piss missile.
And we looked like dead in the water until those back-to-back homers happened.
He's doing the PCA thing. He's doing the PCA thing.
I was sleeping. That was a joke there.
Justin,
the Cubs talk puts me to sleep.
Justin, closeted Cubs fan. Let's go.
Oh, man. You're a dirty man.
I mean, 14 outs, perfect from the Cubs bullpen yesterday. You can't ask for anything more than that.
How about Palencia going in the
Danny
5th?
P. Oh, my God.
I was nervous, but then I remembered this is October. This is what you do. All rules are out the window.
You flip the switch.
Everything is different.
Yeah,
Nothing from last week matters.
I mean, pumping 102 against Fernando Tatis. I mean, 5 up, 5 down. That's what you need from Daniel Palencia. Daniel Palencia is one of my favorite Cubs on this roster right now, and just to see him succeed, I wish he would have gone out to the Gasolina entrance, though, in the 5th. That would have been so electric.
They need to get that going today if he does pitch that last inning. But yeah, I've been waiting for Daniel for the last 2 or 3 years in Iowa. The stuff has been there. It's just a matter of the control. Yeah. And he's looking like the real deal for the Cubs.
I mean, he's pumping 102 past Fernando Tatis. Like, you don't get much better than that.
Yeah.
I mean, Fernando Tatis, former White Sox prospect.
Don't even remind me, man.
James Big Game Shields. 35th and Shields. That's where the Sox play.
I don't even know what to say to that. I got nothing for you guys. Yeah.
So if you want to go watch your former White Sox legend, just hop over to Wrigley Field, Justin. It'll be a good day.
I'll pass. I'm good. We will not be there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we won't be there because we care about the show too much.
That's
and
right.
I think you guys should also care about the show. If you haven't already, drop a like on the stream.
Please.
Drop a 5-star review if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcast. Subscribe. I don't think we brought this up yet. We hit 1,000 subscribers.
1K. Hell yeah.
Dude, stick tips to
Let's
everyone.
go. Oh, I'd love to see that.
I mean, this has been over a year coming. Like
yes, we've been waiting for this.
Absolutely nails. I want to give stick taps to everyone on the crew.
Thank you.
This is awesome.
No, it's just this to check the Chicago Radio YouTube page and just see that K there.
Yeah.
It hits different.
It really does hit different. It's exactly what you want to see. And they do say the first 1,000 is the hardest to get, right? So that the rest should be easy sailing, right?
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
That's right.
I'm definitely not being delusion, right? No. we keep we keep the foot on the gas pedal here. We keep it rolling.
This is
All gas, no
exponential.
brakes.
But yeah, we want to, everyone who's watches
Exponential.
us and supports us, we want to thank you very much. We generally appreciate it. It means the world to us. So.
I mean, yeah, this is unreal. Like, I know that I haven't been here that long, neither is Charlie, but like the work that you guys have put in.
No, you guys too. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't go unnoticed. So stick taps to everyone in this room and stick taps to everyone, working behind the scenes. Shout out Tim Tebow. Shout out to Raven.
Absolutely.
Amen,
yes, for
amen.
sure. All right. I think that's going to do it for our Wednesday edition of Chicago Hockey Radio. We will be back Friday. Got a couple more Hawks preseason games on the docket. Friday, Saturday, doubleheader. And we are less than a week away. We're 6 days away from the Hawks season opener against the Florida Panthers next
6,
Tuesday.
not 7.
We are super excited for that. We're plenty of time to get into that. Plenty of time to get into season previews on the docket for sure. Lots to look forward to in the Blackhawks and NHL landscape. All right. That's going to do it today. And we will see you on the next one on Friday.
Peace.
Bye.
See ya.
Boop.